This is Julien, and what we're going to crack into here is a very special video in honor of the launch of my new digital program, Transformation Mastery. Now, heads up, this is a long video where Owen and I decided to sit down together, and I asked him to go deep in terms of his past and his experience with Transformation Mastery, how it affected his life, and ultimately why him and I both really resonate with these teachings. So this will be the first part of the video. You're going to see him reveal a lot of personal things, a lot of things you can probably connect to, relate with, and probably a lot of things you've never heard or knew about him before. And then in the second part of the video, it's going to be very content heavy, and I'm going to break down how this also applies to you and how you can benefit from this as well. So sit back, enjoy. Here we go.
I'll start off by saying, and I'm going to say this flat out, just clear as day, I'm a fuck up. People will sometimes say to me like, oh, you know, I really love what you're doing and this and that. And I say, I'd love to say I'm a role model, but I'm not. I'm somebody who tries really hard. I think that I could be a role model for trying hard, but I am far from a role model. And when I say things like I'm not perfect, I really couldn't tell you how much that is, okay? And I have really barreled through with everything that I've done and accomplished. And I barreled through in a way that was really difficult. And a lot of things that I've accomplished in life are more difficult than they had to be. And even sitting here now, people might look at certain results that I got. Well, remember, I'm 37 years old. Most of the results that I've even gotten at 37, and I've been hammering on this since I'm 22, it's not even really that great. I don't know what to tell you, you know, right? Like people will say, oh, like you accomplished this or that, you know, because like we have sort of a social standing here in LA and people, you know what we're about and know what we've accomplished. And I think, you know, for somebody that tried this hard for 15 years, it's okay. But there's just so much that I wish I would have known that could have accelerated this process for me. I feel like if I'd known at 22 what I know now, that I could have been at this point by 27 or 28. I even look at guys like, say, Anthony Robbins that are, you know, flying around in helicopters at age 31. So, you know, and it's obviously apples and oranges, everyone has their own journey, but what I'm trying to say here is that most of what I've learned in life has been very difficult. And here's the key. The thing that has kept me sane through all this has been the ability to share it with others. Because when you go through a mess and you've experienced the highs and lows of that mess, at a certain point, no matter what you got out of it, you're like, oh my God, like, this is worth it. But when you actually have a concrete understanding of what happened and you can help other people to save that time or take years away from having to experience the problems that you experienced, or to make it where their lives could be like just leapfrogged ahead, then all of a sudden those traumatic experiences put a smile on your face because you're like, I can share that now. That's something that where I can make it where, you know, like there's this Jay-Z song where he's like, Hove deal crack. Well, Hove did that. I did that, so you don't have to do that. I really fucked that up. Anyway, that was in that song H to the Izzo by Jay-Z. So for me, to be understood here, there was an evolution in thought in things that I experienced that led me to a lot of outside the box thinking, because many of the solutions that society offered to me weren't getting it done. It wasn't working for me. You know, I really tried the thing where I drink a beer with my dad and watch hockey and, you know, believe that there's a girl for everyone and believe that if you just go to college, it's all gonna work out. And then if you're just a good guy, your life's gonna be really happy. And I tried that path and I realized it works for a lot of people, but that didn't work for me. My life was a train wreck. And slowly but surely, I began to look at the lives of people around me, just the lives of, say, the mass public, of the average Joe Lunchbox guy, which I was a part of that. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, where's the smiling? Why aren't they happy? You know, we're living in one of the wealthiest economies in the world. Why aren't they doing better in their career? Why are they married to this girl that they hate? And, you know, why are they not healthy? Why are they sick? And I just started looking at that and saying, well, what path am I on? Am I doing anything different from them? And sometimes I think what we forget, and this really, really gets forgotten, is that we're sitting here in 2017, World War II, did that end, say, was that 1946 that ended?
45.
1945?
45, 46.
Okay, I've been out of high school a while. I don't even know. And my great-grandfather and grandfather were in that. So just as recently as the mid-40s, there was a war against Adolf Hitler going on. In the 70s, the Vietnam War is going on. Modern society, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna like wake up from a dream at some point and that like this is just like this big crazy fucking dream that we're in, or if life is like layers of dreams. Like sometimes I thought like maybe like you're in the dream and then you wake up to this dream, and then but you know when you're in the dream you don't know you're in the dream. Maybe you wake up to this dream. Maybe there's like this other dream that you wake up to, and then you think back to this life and you're like, what the fuck was that? That's so crazy. It's so weird to think of what life is. And you know, me as a kid, I would look at things like wars or famine or poverty. Say like in Africa, there's these like World Visions commercials, and I'm like, Mom, they need $5 to support this starving kid. Like, why is no one helping this fucking kid? He's starving. Someone give the kid the $5. You know, like when I was like a little kid, like just seeing wars and poverty and conflict and unhappiness, and then even getting older and just seeing a lot of that unhappiness and things just not going well for people, and realizing that the default, you know, while it's a lot better than people being, say, a coal miner and getting black lung, or, you know, going to war in a world war and getting shot on a beach, you know, things have improved huge, and I'm so appreciative for that. At the same time, there's still things that we're not understanding because modern society is very new. The internet only came out. I mean, when the internet came out, I don't know what I'm saying here, but, you know, like the internet only became popular how many years ago? I mean, when you and I first met, I mean, when did we first starting out? Was it 2009, 2008 or something?
2009, beginning of 10.
Okay, so yeah. I think you had one of the earlier iPhones, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I was still using an LG phone.
Yeah, you didn't have internet, yeah.
Right, like, and I mean, this like YouTube thing had just been out, like, it had just been popular a couple years. I think that when we first met, was your phone 3G?
Yeah.
Okay, so really, even 4G actually kind of sucks. Right? Like 4G, it's not even that, like, I mean, it's amazing what it's allowing us to do, but at some point 5G will come out. I don't know if like those signals are gonna like radiate all of us, and like later it's gonna turn out this is like everyone's getting brain cancer on their phones, and, you know, testicular cancer because their phone's like in their pocket, and this is a train wreck. But I'm kind of just getting us like a little outside the box here of normal thinking to realize that like when me and you first met, Web 2.0 was just coming out to where people can see videos, right? Like when I was first in the pickup community, for example, and learning success with women, we learned from forums. It was just people discussing things on a forum that were really passionate, and in some ways that was really good because the discussion was so detailed, which is beautiful. But at another level, like your only experience of, say, learning from me way back then was having to order a DVD set.
Yeah.
You know, you knew about me from like a written sales letter and then getting a DVD set. And that was normal back then. Like when I was a kid, it was normal to have a rotary phone and just be like my phone number as a kid was 224-9181. And if I want to call my parents, it'd be like 2, 4, 9, 1, 8, 1. You know, and you just sit there and you wait for it to ring. If my parents didn't pick up, I would have no way to reach them. Say that you're out in public, like you're at like a hockey game and you can't find each other. You just got to go home because you can't even meet each other when you're out. And then, you know, and of course everybody had an attention span back then. That's the pros and cons. But, you know, and then there was this thing called answering machines that came out, and you could leave a recorded message, and there was VCRs. There was this VCR war between Beta and VHS, and like Beta was like the smaller one, and apparently it was better than VHS, but it wasn't as popular. Then they had this thing called a laser disc that came out before DVDs. And, you know, we see this evolution in technology, and then we wonder why the things that we're talking about in this video are not well known. And then we've got to pause for a second and remember, we're just waking up. As a species here, we're just kind of waking up. The energy was very, very heavy for decades, just so heavy. And my father, his dad was a colonel in the military in Canada. And he apparently was even up for being like one of like the top generals or something like that. I'm not totally clear on this. He just passed away pretty recently, lived to be in his 90s. And he was in, you know, World War II, like I said. And my dad had 5 brothers, so there was 6 brothers in total. And the way that they grew up, My grandfather, an amazing man. His name was Vincent. I named my first son after him. Amazing man. Oh my God, like I'm proud that that's my grandfather. At the same time, if I'm trying to be objective, he did hit my dad. And he hit him pretty hard, and he yelled at him and screamed at him. And he was very stern and a very heavy, dense energy. And my dad also, with his 5 brothers, they love each other, but whenever they have any problem, they fight it out. Like they just get in fist fight. It'd be like if me and you have like problem, we just fist fighting it out, then we hang out. I don't know, maybe it's kind of cool. Like you learn how to fight better instead of being like pussies, but like there's something kind of cool about it, like manly, like don't be a crybaby and kind of man up. And there is something lost when we lose that. Like there definitely is something lost. There's an element to that toughness that some of society's lost. But on another side, when my father is getting screamed at and hit by his dad, there's a very heavy energy there, and there's trauma that's going on. Now, I feel like every generation tries to do better for their kids, than their kids did for them. And one thing that Stephen Covey is really passionate about, he calls it a stop generation or a stopgap generation, where, even if your dad was hard on you, you're not going to do that with your kids. You're saying, this stops with me. This is over. And, with my kids, for example, they have never one time seen me angry, even a single time. They have never experienced that traumatic energy. They're going to get enough of that at school. They're going to get enough of that from each other. It's not coming from me. So the way that I handle my kids, for example, is if they're beating on each other, pulling each other's hair, I'll kind of just hold them here. And I just look at him and I just let him calm down. And I say, hey, Dylan, it's more often Dylan. I say, Dylan, you're tugging your brother's hair here. And how do you think he feels? And he may not know that. Like, that's what's funny is like, if you just hit him, he doesn't even know what was right or wrong. He's just like, I don't know, now I got hit. And now you traumatize him, and now he's just gonna go hit more people. And then you traumatize him more, and he's just gonna go hit more people. So I say, why'd you do that? And I won't hit him. And the funny thing with Dylan, even if I just hold him and don't let him run around and do whatever he wants, because he's never had like any kind of anger coming from me, because I stay completely calm. In fact, I'm even more loving. Like, I'm like, Dylan, I love you so much. I wanna help you. I'm here to protect you. I'm not trying to hold you. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but what did you do? And I'll just keep asking him again and again, how did your brother feel? Or I might do like very light, like just like slightly pull his hair like that and go, how does that feel? If I let you do that to your brother and he does that to you, how does it feel if you just go like that? And he's like, oh, like he just actually doesn't have that meta level awareness to even know what he's doing. And once I show him that, I'm like, well, would you say sorry? And he's like, yes. And you'll walk up to Vincent. He's like, I'm sorry, Vincent. And he's like really sorry. And it's like really cute. I don't know if Dylan is going to go on to like rob banks and like, I don't know. I can't give parenting advice. But that was just how I chose to raise my kids, because I saw what happened to me. And sadly, and so much of the work that you've done here, a lot of the time it does come back to the parents or to the upbringing. That's when a lot of these traumas that carry that kind of heavy energy take place. With my dad, he very sadly was in that environment with his dad, who was a great grandfather, but that was the norm of the day. There was a heavier energy back then. It was just heavier. Like if you look at, say, even me, Jeff, and Ozzy, there's a heavier energy in us than, say, you and maybe guys like, say, Max or whoever. There's actually a lighter energy in you guys because there's a generation gap there. And then even in younger guys, like take a guy like, say, Maze, there's less heavy energy in him. Or say when Sam was around, right? There's a lighter energy. Even back in the day, we'd be listening like, say, gangster rap and like resonating with that. Whereas today it's more like EDM. I mean, I still love gangster rap, but you do have to admit, when you're listening to Eazy-E and Tupac, like talking about killing people, there is a heavier energy there than the Swedish House Mafia, just like, do, do, do.
Yeah.
So that was kind of going on. And when I was a kid, my first memories, and with my parents doing everything they could to raise me better than their parents did, making the choice to give me life, raising kids is not cheap. It's stressful. It is an act of love. It's an act of giving. And no matter what anybody's parents did to them, you could never forget that their intentions were probably extremely positive. They may have lost their way. They may have been consumed by a low vibration energy, but the underlying element of there is love, and they really tried their best. My parents tried their fucking best, and I love them for that. And I am just so grateful, even as a parent myself, the fact that they, my mother put me through her body, depleted her body to give me life. My father went and worked day in and day out to make me able to be alive and have a place to live. And anybody that forgets that is so low gratitude and appreciative, that's crazy. At the same time, while they do their best, we also, they make mistakes. And those mistakes go into us at a younger age. And as adults, we need to clear that up. Well, what happened in my case? A lot of my first memories are my parents screaming at each other and throwing things at each other, just shrieking and screaming and hitting and just lamps being smashed. And I'm just sitting in bed, just smash, hearing them screaming and going crazy. And, and then that's kind of going on in me. And part of my challenge too is, and this was really brutal, and this is, I guess, what made me, gave me some unique angles in my teaching, was I'm a hardcore empath. So basically, I feel energy a lot. Like even as a kid, I'm seeing like the kids from Africa, I'm feeling their pain from Africa. So I feel everybody's pain. My natural state is as a healer. And so, even like when we teach, say, success with women, and we're like, get in there, close it, do that, it's because, well, look, if a guy's got a broken leg, you're not gonna help him by just caressing the broken leg. You gotta snap it back into place so the shit can heal. So as a healer, and as an empath, I'm feeling that energy, and it's just boom, boom. Like some kids do better than others, right? Some kids come from like really rough backgrounds and they're still smiley and happy. Like LL Cool J, apparently, I think his dad shot his mom, but his mom lived. That's my understanding. We'd have to review that. But LL Cool J, look at him. He's just like, he just took it really well. I just didn't take it that well. I didn't go on to become like a famous rapper. I just went on to become a fucking head case. And then you take having light level autism, you've got an empath with feeling all these energies, but light level autism, so I can't even read the social cues of the energies that I'm feeling. And then this crazy aggressive background. And then I was also very small and skinny, so I'm kind of getting beat up on at school. And it was just too much going on. And it was just boom, boom, boom. And nowadays, sometimes you see these kids, when they're younger, that are just such a mess, kind of at the back of the class, and they're kind of weird. And you're just like, what's up with him? You don't really know. And sometimes their pain is so over the top and so toxic that you don't even want to look at it, because it's kind of like driving by a car wreck where you sort of look at it and you see people like dying and you're just like, I'd love to help, but I don't know how to help that guy. That's so far past anything I can help. So I've just got to keep looking forward to the road, not help. Well, to some extent anyway, at least on some level, I kind of became that guy where I'm just sitting at the back of the class, just isolated and alienated. Then puberty hits and now I'm horny, right? I'm this like empath, autistic, traumatized kid with a sex drive. And I'm just like, and there's just a lot going on. And so growing up in that, my household was a lot of people getting mad at each other, screaming at each other. My dad and my mom are mad at each other constantly. I'm mad at my dad and my mom. My sister's mad at me. I'm mad at my sister. She's mad at my dad. Then people are ganging up on each other to where like me and my mom like shit talk my dad, and then me and my sister shit talk our parents, and then me and my dad shit talk my mom, and then my mom and my sister shit talk me. And it's just like people ganging up on each other. And most of the conversation in the house, or huge amounts of it, is gossip, complaining, a lot of victimhood, shit talking. And then as I go to become a teenager, my main way of relating with other people, the way that I form bonds, is with gossip, shit talk, and victim complaining. And as I got older, and this is sort of my story and how I began to see signs of coming out of this. So I want to actually thank Neil Strauss, because Neil, he was the first person that came to me, and he met me one day, and he said, Owen, I think that there's something going on with you. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, I think you have self-hate. Now at 22, I have no psychological background. I don't know what any of this is. And I remember like I was just very uninformed of anything self-development related or even of the psyche. I just assumed that whatever thoughts I had was me thinking them. I didn't understand that like different energies or autopilots or conditioning could be controlling my thoughts. I always thought it was me. So Neil says, Owen, you might hate yourself. Now immediately to me, I couldn't believe that, because how can you hate yourself? The whole idea is that, you're on your own team, right? Thanks. So how could you hate yourself. That's the whole point, is you're on your team. And he's like, well, you're showing signs of like self-sabotage, you know, like I bring you around and I see you self-sabotaging yourself. And at first I just thought this guy's like fucking with me or something, you know. I'm like, why would Neil, like, what do you mean you fucking hate yourself? Fuck you, I hate you then, you know. Like that was like the level of like dark kind of energy going around, or heavy energy that was surrounding me. But at least in Neil saying that, I at least sort of hung on to it just to try to even understand what he meant. Like, so I kind of asked people, like, what does it mean if you like hate yourself? Like, how could you hate yourself? So I mean, that, like, you know, you compare it now with like our level of understanding of inner game and psychology, and how that both manifests and kind of puts into an upward spiral through behavior into getting outer results. At that time, I was completely clueless. My second cue was actually David D'Angelo, a guy named Eben Pagan, who's currently a very famous and successful marketer. And he used to run a program back then called Double Your Dating. And Neil says to me, it was David D'Angelo, whose real name is Eben Pagan. He's married now. And he had me come in and do a seminar, and he would actually meet up with me once a week and mentor me. So how cool is that, right? Like Eben Pagan, this like ultra smart guy who you can look up, Eben Pagan, and he's just like really brilliant, and he's like meeting up with me once a week. Now, the funny thing with both Neil and Eben is they're looking at me. Oh, thank you so much. And I think what they're seeing is like, is that one mine?
Yes.
Okay, so I think on one level they're watching me and they're thinking like, this guy's really trying hard. Like, they're seeing me going out to nightclubs, opening all these girls, getting laid, meeting different people, and trying to build out this community. So it's kind of like this like little like crazy little kid is like mobilizing the community, right? And they're looking at me and they're like, you know, I want to kind of talk to him, but there's so much dense energy around this guy's head. How can we like slip in a little comment here or there, right? So Neil himself probably didn't know everything about psychology then either, but he was older and he definitely knew some stuff. And now I think he's learned so much more ever since then. Like, he's just gone on to really go deep on that, like really cool. But at the time he was kind of, he was learning. And so I think he was just trying to kind of share with me what he was learning, right? Like learning about, say, self-hate or, stuff like that, which is really the tip of this huge iceberg, which you're even covering in your program. And then I think David D'Angelo, aka Eben Pagan, came to me and he was like, Owen, at a certain point, you want to be an adult. You want to be a grown man. And I'm just like, well, how does my seminar not look like a grown man? What are you talking about? And he's like, just be that guy. You don't need to act like that guy. Just be that guy. And so as a young kid, I'm just like, what the fuck does that mean? And this was another thing with me, and this is huge, okay? So at that time, I was doing huge amount of outer game work. I'm out there practicing my technique every day. And some of the guys, like say it was Neil or Eben Pagan, aka David D'Angelo, they weren't exactly, like they both had done a huge, broad, deep amount of work on their outer game. But at that time, neither of those guys, to my knowledge, they would have to say their own thing. What I'm saying is my experience of it, or how I had understood it. The way I had understood it in that young age, which so much of shit I was thinking is wrong, so I don't even trust that. But the way I'd understood it was like they weren't really going out a lot anymore. And so I was kind of associating this like inner game thing as like these guys, like they go out for a bit and then as this way to not go out, they just like navel gaze at their inner game. Like, let's just explore my thoughts and feelings. And it's like, dude, just go out and like get laid or something. You'll be happy. You don't need to like explore your inner self. Just like shut the fuck up. Like just go out. And so every time that there was any inner game talk, I always associated that with guys that weren't taking action while I'm just out there just fucking shooting the guns. Like I'm out there like just dropping bombs, while some guys like back in their house like, well, let's read about my psyche, and I'm just like, what is this? But at the same time, as much as they're doing that, there's that concept of power versus force, like David R. Hawkins. And power is where when you just enter into, say, the right state, a lot of things kind of just happen for you. It's like the sail. Versus force is when you're forcing it. And both Neil and Eben Pagan, even though they weren't gaming as much as me, consistently had beautiful women in their lives. And so part of me would still see that. I'm like, well, even though they're not out here smashing it like me, it's not like Neil didn't have really beautiful girls coming over to Project Hollywood where we lived together. I mean, he always had a stream of women coming in, many times for threesomes or things like that. And presumably Eben was doing well too. He just said he was, and I've never known Eben not to be very straight shooter and truthful. So I would have to assume that he's doing really well too. So I'm kind of looking at that. And so you're seeing that I'm coming out of this like upbringing in the masses of very dense energy, very traumatized, very unconscious, very unaware of what's happening. I just don't get it. But some people are seeing me trying. They know that I'm one of those like hater, negative people where no matter what you tell them, they're gonna resist it, right? Like no matter what they tell me, I'm gonna immediately become defensive. So these poor guys are trying to give me some guidance, but I'm just immediately defensive. Kind of like what we talked about this week with the legend in your own mind videos and getting feedback from other people. Well, part of why I'm so passionate about that was because when I was younger, I wouldn't take feedback like that. And I was just this legend in my own mind. Like, I'm just the shit. You know, I think Neil even commented about that in the book, The Game. He's like, Tyler would just think he's like the world's greatest pickup artist. And he's just, like, and you know, I don't know if it was quite like, because the book is sort of dramatic, but I could definitely see where he's getting that from, because yeah, you know, I was really close off to feedback. The clouds are closed, as opposed to like that, this week we talked about like the opening, right? Like that opening of the clouds, that parting of the clouds where you're kind of open to feedback. And these guys are trying to give me some freaking feedback, and they're trying to say it in a way that doesn't trigger me, right? And you as a teacher, you have to do that too when you have students where you're trying to help them and open them up and create an opening where we can make real change and go to work, but they're just, their sense of self is fragile still because you've grown up in this crazy dense energy and this really painful time, and it's just, you try to help somebody to like get out, because essentially it's very defense, right? If you've been growing up getting hit, being abused by your parents physically or emotionally, getting screamed at, hearing them scream at each other, and then in this toxic, heavy, it's basically like the best word that I would describe is this heavy energy. It's not just like light and fun, just let's just go laugh and have fun. It's just very heavy. And when you grew up in that, you're always in defense. Even if somebody gives you a compliment, you don't take it. Like, I remember one time I was walking through this mall in Kingston. I think it's the Gananoque Center in Kingston, Ontario. And this really hot girl looks at me, and for some reason I kept eye contact, and she goes to her friend, he's cute, and looks at me. And do you know what I fucking did? This is so crazy. I look at her and I'm like, ugh, slut. And I walk this beautiful, sweet little girl. I go, slut. And then I run away because I think she's insulting me, and I can't believe the compliment could be real. Then I go on to think about her for like months. For months while I'm single, just just in my little cave, like whacking off in this like living hell in my own mind, thinking of this girl. And then I see her like 6 months later. I'm like, okay, next time I see her, she thinks I'm cute, and you know, if she thinks I'm cute, then probably she'd become my girlfriend. So I'm not gonna like call her a slut this time. I'm gonna like go say hi. So then I go to say hi to her. I'm like, do you remember me? And she is so weirded out.
Yeah.
So crazy, dude. So people, so if you're hearing this, you're watching at home, and you've seen my seminars and you've seen me get really jacked up, how passionate I get. You saw me over here just yelling and hooting and hollering. Well, a lot of that is the background that I came from. And just, the deep level of consciousness. And that's why, even in spite of a lot of challenges that we've had to build our movement, I just keep pushing forward because I can't leave someone behind in that. I know there's a lot of people behind in that. And I'm not even saying I'm out of it. Yeah, I don't think you're saying you're out of it. But it's been a wonderful journey, and it's just cool to be on that journey until the day you die. Who knows even what happens after you die? That's just your journey. And it's fun to be, say, 15 years removed from that, and to be able to share these paradigms so that, like, creating something where if I were to watch your program 15 years ago, even if I couldn't totally let it in because I'm so much in defense, it could, instead of me needing 15 years to start to open up, maybe it would take a year or 6 months. And then now, instead of like going from 37 to say 57 or whatever progress I'm gonna make, we can cut the time. And that's why I love modern society and modern technology, to where, because of the internet, because of Web 2.0, now somebody can become a more productive member of society, become a leader, become powerful. And they always say, like, yeah, you wanna be charitable, but make yourself strong first. When you make yourself strong, you can be strong for others, and you can contribute. So what I love about, say, the modern society is, like, there's a lot of bad sides of modern society. Social conditioning, and the standard American diet, and even the downsides of Web 2.0, where people get addicted on dopamine spikes and can't keep focus, and that sucks. But the good side of it, to me, is that people begin to wake up and they're able to get information, the dating stuff that we've done that would probably never be available if it weren't for the internet, to have that kind of open dialogue when only NBC, CBS, Fox, and ABC were controlling the media, and it's just pure mainstream. And now there's ideas going around. We're waking up. There's downsides to it too. It means that negative people, like bad guy terrorist groups, can get together. That's the downside. That's why we're actually seeing some of these atrocities happening, because bad people come together, and that fucking sucks. But the good side is that people that are working on, say, healing or financial success or success in health or success in relationships and dating and meeting people and social skills and waking up and growing in your consciousness and elevating can come together, and this knowledge is suddenly disseminating and people are waking up. And so that means that this generation doesn't have to be as heavy as the old generations. And we're seeing this in changes in music and in changes in what people are resonating with. But then again, there's shows like Game of Thrones, which is just a bunch of people getting murdered, but it's damn well produced, and it's amazing, and it's bad, and it's a bit of both, right? But we're seeing things moving. So going a little bit further, what began to sort of get my journey again was those little hints that I got from people that were trying to help me, but also it was things that I was observing. So what's kind of funny to think about is that when you grow up in a suburb, for example, the suburb reality is really constructed for you. And the world is in some ways very big. You know, you've got all these great cities: Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, LA, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, London, Stockholm, Copenhagen, you know, the Middle East, it's amazing. But in another way of looking at it, the earth is in some ways kind of small, in the sense that these really well-known cities, they're kind of just like scattered throughout the world. There's like a handful of them, but most of the world is kind of like this sprawling suburb where you basically have like Walmart, you know, Best Buy, McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, it would have been, say, Blockbuster back in the day, although that's been replaced. Now people just, use Netflix and stuff. And so most people's reality is not living in a posh downtown metropolis or cosmopolitan city and meeting people of different cultures and meeting people that are operating at an ultra high level and seeing different ways of thinking. Most people are kind of in their suburb, and maybe you get a job for like 50 grand a year, and maybe you can get to 110K. Ooh, and you think that's good because in that sphere, that's a lot of money. And then you get your wife, and you go to rent a movie. Now it would be Netflix. It would have been, say, Blockbuster back in the day. And you go to McDonald's, and then on the weekend maybe you go to the Olive Garden, and that's pretty cool. You hear about these really expensive restaurants that would cost like $1,000 to go to, like in a city like LA, or you hear about the rent. Like say you hear about a house that costs $50,000 or $70,000 a month to rent, and you're going, why would you pay $70,000 a month in rent? Why would you pay $1,000 for a restaurant? But you're not realizing, like when you're out there, the reason that people move to a huge city is because you can make millions, and then the 70 grand a month in rent doesn't matter. That's why in LA, if you say, I've got like 50, 70K a month to spend on rent, you might not even be able to find a taker because there's so many people in these big cities that want to do that. It's not nearly as many as in the sprawling suburbs, but like you go to a city like Manhattan, there's people there that are operating in a very high gear. I'm not saying to do that. Many viewers right now, you at home might be aghast when you hear this and go, I don't want that. That's not what I want. This just sounds retarded. I was going to say ridiculous, but it's retarded. It's horrible, right? But whether you want to do that or not, that doesn't matter. You got to live your life the way you want. But do understand that there are different realities out there that you don't see. And so like in a lot of ways, like why I became interested in that, it wasn't even because I needed like to live in a big city, like to be Mr. Cool. I just wanted to understand. Like that's why I went to Africa and traveled through the most gritty shanty towns. They're called townships, where the HIV rate is through the roof, or I drove huge amounts of Mexico right into the ejidos, which are subsistence farms, and literally would spend weeks out in having experiences of deep poverty and seeing what extreme third world level poverty looked like. Or I lived in South America for 3 months, and even like South America, Mexico, Africa are the most beautiful places in the world, but they're countries of extremes, where like the most beautiful places are like nicer than anything I've seen in the States. But the rough areas, the unconsciousness is on such a level that the heavy energy is emanating. Some people will say like, when people are poor, they're even happier. There's definitely pockets of that. I've seen that in, say, Taxco, Mexico, which is a silver mining town. Most people there aren't like necessarily super rich, but they at least have an income, and they're really happy, and that's really cool. There's these like Zocolos, like a town square, and people go hang out, and they're not as inundated with consumer culture. But in a lot of these other places, people are really run down. That's why I went to extreme poverty to see it, to even be around it for months at a time, to understand the paradigm. And likewise, I wanted to move to, say, LA and be around celebrities, to be around high-level entrepreneurs, to see the shifts in mindset and to see how I feel when I'm around them. And by the way, nothing is like all the same. Some poor people living in a poor country are really high level, borderline like enlightened or something, probably not enlightened, but you know what I mean? And then a lot of like rich, successful people in a big city are fucking assholes. So don't get me wrong, but just even being in like high-level entrepreneurs groups and things like that, you see the ways of thinking and how different it is, and it allowed me to get a bigger context for why the world is the way it is. Why is there this extreme poverty, or why is there this extreme wealth? Is it really because what the Occupy Wall Street people say, that that there's a scarcity and the rich people are taking their money? And what do rich people or happy people or spiritually elevated people or healthy people know? What do the haves know that the have-nots don't know? And why do the have-nots think that it's this conspiracy against them and think that people are going out to take from them? When I meet the haves, they're really charitable for the most part and want the best for people. At least that's a generalization of my experience, but it's a lot more so than the people that the have-nots think that it is. And that I think is very clear. So that was like my journey. Now, I'd say a couple of the big waypoints for me, and this was really huge, and this was going into my healing, and I'm certainly not done healing, but this was, in my journey, was being around different types of people. So, for example, even back in like the days of like that book, The Game, we were all guys trying to do better. Mystery, Neil, the crew, I love these guys, right? And these guys are blood to me until the day that I die, right? No matter any disputes we ever had, to me, they're family. No matter how much we've got on each other's nerves, right? And I believe they think that of me too. But there's this element to where we were kind of infighting. Like even in Project Hollywood, there's this pattern to where we're infighting in the house the way that I did with my parents, the way that I did with my siblings, the way that I did with kids from my high school, this heavy energy. Now, all of us were going out and trying to elevate ourselves and improve, but there was a heavy energy there. Maybe it was just all me. I don't know. It really, I'm sure I contributed plenty. So, that's I gotta own that, okay? And I'm sorry for that. And if any of you guys who knew me back in the day are watching, I'm sorry, okay? I mean that. I hope this gives you some context. And I've tried to clean my fucking mess. This fucking program. Try to clean my mess here, okay? So, we had that heavy energy, and that's why something that should have been so amazing of like these talented guys, maybe we should have had lifelong working relationships, and it has fissures in it and it cracks, and winds up in books with people mad at each other, and the movie will probably come out and expose that even more. And I'm gonna be sitting in a movie theater and trying to watch some fucking movie, and then there'll be like, this preview will come on, it'll be like, they came together in LA, and like Seth Green will pop on, like, and that'll be me, and I'm just gonna be like, oh my God. And they're gonna make tens of millions of dollars, but it's gonna be like emotionally. So it's, but you look at the potential of these talented guys that we were, and the talent of Neil, or Mystery, or Nick, or myself, or even David D'Angelo, these ultra talented people, or even some of the founders of the community itself, but we just can't get along. And it's that same energy. And why did I get attracted into those environments? Well, as you get older and you go deeper into the work that you've been covering here, you begin to realize, because there's an emotional addiction or trauma that is resurfacing. You're actually seeking out people who will traumatize you, and they're seeking you out to traumatize them. Now, I don't want to speak for anybody else, okay? That's not cool, So I can only speak for me and my experience of it, right? And so many people really just tried to help me ultimately, right? Everybody just really wants the best for me. But there was a level to where, in these situations that I've been in, where things didn't work out as well as they should, and potentials, these beautiful potentials, were unfulfilled, even though we've gone on to keep that same spirit in what we do, right? But there's potentials there that were unfulfilled. There was an energy there that like something was holding us back. Probably me, but there's something that's holding us back. And that those same fights from my childhood are now happening as an adult. And further, I remember I started dating a stripper. this girl, to me, everybody has their own taste, right? Everybody has their own type of girl they like, but to me, this is like just the yummiest woman on the earth. And the sex she gave me was so crazy. And that was a SCOBY, the bacteria. So, as the theme of this video, I'm a fucking idiot. So basically, now the bacteria in the kombucha is on my beard. So, but I'll eat my beard bristles when it ferments it. So, I was dating that girl, you know who I'm talking about. You were with me while I went through this. When you would actually go to Europe, I would have sex with her in your room. And so I'm going through this, and this girl is a stripper, and she's done things like high-end escorting, but she's super hot. And this girl has done so much drugs that she doesn't even do drugs anymore because she's done so much Molly and Coke and all this stuff that she can't even get, she claims she can't even get high off it anymore. She would apparently pop like 15 or 20 Mollies, like MDMA, to the point that her brain couldn't even shoot any more serotonin. And basically she'd fried her brain from like huge amounts of drug use. She'd sometimes have like schizophrenic like moments where she'd be like, like this. But she was also a lovely person. She was amazing. She's like super fun. It'd be pretty hard to resist dating this girl. Like this was like a girl who I dated from, selecting many girls. And I always try to break up with her because I knew she's crazy. But whenever I'd break up with her, I'd go have sex with other girls. And then I'd like crave her back, and I'd call her back, and I'd be like, can we see each other? And she'd come see me, and every time she'd come back, I would like go to hug her, and I'd just be like, I'm home. Like she just feels so good, right? And we would have sex for hours. And I always wanted to be with her because the sex was so good, and it felt so wonderful being with her. But I could see that there's something off with this girl, right? Even though she's wonderful and she's doing her fucking best, and a lot of things I could have done better, but there's something off with her. Like what drives her to do things like high-end escorting, or what she wasn't doing when we were together, to my knowledge. I don't know, or things like stripping, right? Because I don't judge, I'm teaching pickup. Who am I to judge? But I can see that when she kind of sits there in the day, she kind of just sits there watching television and doesn't do anything in the day. And then as soon as she gets any money, boom, it's gone. And she can't hang on to her money. And there's always something so self-destructive in her. And when I'm around her, at the time, I'm in my later 20s, I'm feeling this emotion of apathy. And that's the word for it. It's like, you're not angry, you're not happy, you're just kind of in apathy. And she would keep hanging out with these people that were so, like she'd go to like cities like Reno, and be in like the hood in Reno, hanging out at like, I don't know if it was like meth labs or, whatever it was. And but she's smart, and she's cool, and she's stunning. It's like this stunning hot girl with just like bikers and, this kind of thing. And I'm like, why is she drawn to these types of people? What makes her need to go to these people? But I want to be with her, so I'll kind of go around it. And I'm around this like hardcore drug use and low-level thinking, and people just always in and out of jail, and they're always eating like Pop-Tarts and like the worst food. It's like their body's like a garbage dump, just eating the worst food you've ever seen, and taking any kind of drug, eating any kind of shitty food, all just living in the moment right there. And what I realized was this is an even more extreme version of what I saw growing up. It's essentially like low vibration energy to the nth degree. So like, if this is up here and I was down here, this was even like, I don't want to judge it, but it was somewhere lower, I think, than where I was at. I'm seeing that, right? And I'm just like, God, why? I talk to her and I try to show her a different way, and she'll kind of listen, but she's so self-destructive, and her life could be really great. I'm a good fucking boyfriend, and she's so self-destructive. And what was weird was, as I went on to build RSD, I would invite my friends from back home to come be around me. Okay, and here's where this starts to become more interesting. Okay, so I'd invite them to come be around me, and these were great friends, like just good guys. But if I'd invite them to say Hawaii or to LA or wherever, there was always some reason not to come. Even for many of them, I'd offer to pay the ticket, but there's always a reason not to come. But here's where it's so crazy. When Nick Papa, my co-founder with RSD, came to me when I used to live in Kingston, he said, bro, why don't we fly down to San Diego? Because there's this guy down there that wants to teach a program. And I'm living in Kingston, Ottawa at this point. And I go, no, I don't want to go to San Diego. I don't want to go to San Diego. I'll go later. I'm always saying that I'm going to go later. And I don't know why. And Nick had to like forcibly fucking get me to go. not quite forcibly, but pretty close. And finally when I went, I was like, this is amazing, right? It was so cool. But I kept making excuses. And now my friends back home are doing that too. It was almost as if I'm afraid to see something that I would want, but that I can't sustain. So I don't even want to see it. Later, when I moved to Hawaii, I would try to get my mother to come, and I'd beg and plead with her to come. I think I begged her for like 3-4 years, and she would never come. I'm offering to pay. I finally got her to come. She shows up in Hawaii from Canada, like in the cold, and she's like, I don't know why I waited all these years to come here. I just go in this little metal tube. I'm here, and now I'm in Hawaii. This place is amazing. I want to move here. But I think she was afraid to see this other level where she felt like she couldn't sustain it. And there's this fear, like I think when people look at, say, the Success with Women material, or when they look at the wealth building material, or health building material, or happiness building material, like your happiness manifesto, there's a degree to which they're afraid that they're going to see this better reality, but they'd have to give away their coping mechanisms and defense to experience it. And if it doesn't work, they feel like they were led down a path of false hope, and they're more in pain than ever, rather than keeping that feeling, right? And that's why so much in the masses, there's this underlying skepticism that you could improve, and there's these walls of rationalization in defense stopping you from improving. So simultaneously to while I'm seeing this, I'm having other experiences. And one of those experiences is I'm seeing people that I can tell are in, like what in spiritual circles, they call like a different vibration than me, or a higher vibration than me. Some of those guys were Tim. It's Timothy Mark from Freedom Business, and he used to be in RSD. And Tim, he was called the Flawless Natural back then. And Tim was just really happy. He didn't, like, I would go to shit talk and make victim stories and be negative, and I would try to relate with Tim how I would relate with other people from my youth and my, the dense energy of my family, or say from Project Hollywood, where, in Project Hollywood had that same energy. You can read about it in the book The Game. But Tim wouldn't go there with me. He wouldn't let me go there. And what was beautiful about Tim was he never judged me. Tim never was like, dude, you're just fucking negative. He was just really patient. He recognized that I'm on my journey and that I'll probably figure it out at some point. He tried, like Neil, like Eben, he's trying to give little pointers to me to kind of help just move my thinking maybe by a degree. He knows he's not going to do this because it's just too heavy. There's not an opening. There's no opening to make a transformation in me. They're just trying to give me a little, just let in a little bit of light. Just let in a little bit of light. So Tim would, say, I'd be like, Tim, this guy did this. And this guy didn't appreciate me. And this guy's an asshole. And like, I was taking advantage of Tim, right? And Tim would just go, mate, you know what? You're a smart guy. He's like, you're a pimp. Let's go, cherish some girls tonight. Let's go lord the club, right? And I'm like, but Tim, blah, 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 blah. And then Tim's like, mate, the club is glorious, mate. We're going to Greece, And I'd be even in Greece. And again, it's like wherever you go, there you are. I'm in Greece. And one part of me is like, I'm in fucking Greece. I'm in fucking Greece. I was never supposed to make it this far. I'm in the fucking Greek islands, and I'm in Santorini, Mykonos, Ios, Corfu, Athens. Later I got to go to Italy and go through Venice and Rome and Porto Cervo and all these beautiful places I never thought I would see. Like so far past my reality. I'm like, whoa, holy shit, right? But all I can do is fucking complain and be mad about shit and be in this victim state. But this other part of me is like, I gotta take this in. I'm in fucking Mykonos, like this is so cool. I'm on like Paradise Beach Club with hot girls, but I'm so mad. I just can't take it in. And later I moved to Hawaii, and even then I was in that kind of victim state where I couldn't I'm in Hawaii, I'm thinking maybe I'll be happy here by the ocean, but a lot of that victim trigger in me was still there. And I was improving somewhat, but I was unconscious to it and I couldn't stop it. It had so much momentum, I couldn't stop it. Now, what you begin to realize over time, what we understand now is that victim thinking is a psychological state to where no matter how good your life is, no matter how much people do for you, no matter how much people listen to you, empathize with you, try to fix the things you're asking them to fix, if someone is in that victim state, they will keep going back to it. And they're basically infested or steeped in low vibration energy. And that person might have thoughts of suicide. Like back when I was in that state, I'd be like, should I kill myself? I'm so bad, and things like that. And no matter how good people try to help you, you can only be mad, right? And that's probably where Neil was frustrated with me. It's like, no matter how much he tries to help me, I'm distrustful, I'm paranoid. And it's because wherever you go, there you are. So I'm meeting guys like Tim. Another was Randy. And Randy was an old instructor with Real Social Dynamics. There's actually many great instructors over the years in RSD who we never did YouTube channels, but Randy was another one. And I remember the first day I noticed it in Randy, I'm starting to see people that are in this like different vibrational state. And the funny thing is you never fully see it because people in a higher vibration won't judge you so much. Like people in a high vibration aren't gonna go like, you're in low vibration, because that would be a low vibration thing to say in general. So they're actually they offer you a lot of space to be you. But when you're in low vibration, you interpret that space that they're giving you, that what you're doing is right. But it's not necessarily right. They're just being patient because they recognize you're on your journey. So the first day I ever saw, I noticed it in Randy. I think we were actually at an old David D'Angelo seminar. And he's a young guy. And that's what's so cool with the younger generation. They have a lighter energy. And this is like really fucking weird. And I'm not saying this is objective. It's very subjective and probably false. But I felt like I saw these like light waves coming off of Randy. Like it was kind of fun, like these light waves coming off him, you know. And I'm sure it's a projection in my mind, or something. I don't even know what, man. I don't even fucking know, dude. But I felt like I was seeing that, and I'm like, he's different. Like there's something different about this person than me. It's the lighter energy. And Randy was a lot like Tim. You know, if you try to complete, you know, you just sit there just gossiping and bitching and being a victim, because these are the common threads of the masses. It's a lot of gossip, sharing gossip, going into victim stories, and low gratitude, right? That's why like all these like goji berry and cacao, high vibration foods, they always say like gratitude on them, things like that, because gratitude is a high vibration state. Like in a state of gratitude and high vibration, even when things are bad, you see the good. When you're in a low vibration state of victim, even when things are awesome, you see the bad. And so I remember seeing that in Randy, and I just kept trying to understand, what do these guys have that I don't? Like, why am I so fucking broken? Why is it that even if I moved to fucking Hawaii and, you know, have like a following in my dating stuff and have financial success, why am I so fucking pissed? And but yet I don't think I'm pissed in a way too, because when you're in defense, you don't think you're pissed, because that would be opening up. So you'd actually have to open up to admit you're in a low vibration state. But there's almost this, like we said in the other video at Santa Monica, there's this refrigerator hum of low vibration energy that you're feeling. And it's just there, but you don't fully know that it's there because you're like a fish in water. It's been there so long you don't know it. But if you're open, like if you're watching from home and you're open to this, here's what I would ask you. Do you commonly complain about people trying to help you? Do you commonly have victim stories about where you've been taken advantage of? Do you ever think of killing yourself or harming yourself? Do you ever feel just overwhelmed to the point of like tears or rolling around where you just can't function? Do you gossip about people? Do you get off on gossiping about people? Do you know, it doesn't mean you can't assess somebody or whatever, right? But are you getting off on the dopamine spike and the frenetic energy around shit talking others? And be honest, if you were to assess your life right now, is your life actually a lot fucking better than you're giving it credit for? But for some weird reason, despite all your blessings, you can't seem to let it land or focus on it. And so to me, that's where we have this low vibration energy, right? So now what's going on is I've gone to third world countries where I've seen the lowest of the lows. I've moved to bigger cities, and not to say bigger cities is like the highest high, because there's many beautiful small towns. These places are incredible, so please don't take me wrong on that, okay? Please just take the idea and don't take what I'm saying or get offended. And by the way, getting offended is a lot of low vibration energy, but probably that's low vibration to say that. So anyway, so basically, I'm seeing the high level, I'm seeing the highs, I'm seeing the lows. One of the reasons I even wanted to move to big cities was to see celebrities, to see high level people, and just realize these are real people. Like, whoa, right? Like when people come to a free tour, for example, and they see me or you, say they've watched us online, it's like they're real, right? I even joke, do you ever joke with that when you go to free tour? You go like, is it weird to see me? Have you ever tried this?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to free tour, what you do is you say, is it weird to see me in person after seeing me online? Is it kind of like a Toy Story where the toy came to life and the whole room breaks out laughing and everybody puts their hand up? They're like, oh, it's so weird, right? Well, that's why I did too. So come meet us in person. It's really cool, okay? I don't know if it's that cool, but anyway, okay. So basically, I'm seeing high level people, I'm seeing low level people, I'm hearing people who I respect like Neil or Eben Pagan giving me feedback or criticism, and I'm going, okay, there's something going on here. There's something that I came from that's not right. And maybe the fact that modern society is actually pretty new, like what I said earlier, like modern society is kind of new, maybe I'm in like a cultural hypnosis, or it's kind of like, I didn't know the jargon, at that time, but maybe I'm in this low vibration state that I didn't even know that I was in, and maybe that's normal in society, and maybe there's shit going on that we're not seeing. And this was that video that we shot down in Sunset Plaza, down in the other evening, where we're talking about people who perpetually complain, and it's like, you send them to Hawaii, but they're still complaining if they're in a low vibration state, versus somebody who's in a high vibration state. Even if something rough happens, they'll find the good in it. And that doesn't take away from legitimately complaining about your life, or sometimes being a skeptic or things like that. That's good. You don't, because the opposite of someone who's a skeptic is a sucker, right? Where you're just gullible and naive, and you're just I believe in everything. Oh, there's spiritual aliens coming to talk to you? Wow, right? And they're untethered. There's got to be a balance between skepticism and seeing the flaws and the positive and whatnot. I understand that. But the difference is that skepticism coming from a dense energy? Is it coming from an addiction to complaining? Is it coming from this this weird self-fulfilling prophecy where you keep thinking the world is negative, and then because of your behavior you make it negative? Or is it rational? And it's always a bit of both. I mean, many of the things that I gossiped about or complained about when I was young were fair, but notice that when you shift it into a high vibration state, many of those problems dissolve. They go away. Not by force, by forcibly fixing it, but by power, by going into a different state of mind. These problems fix themselves. So I'm seeing this, getting older, and then I'm beginning to build a better life. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking pride in bringing other people into what I'm doing. So, it's like, you know what, I'm just running this little company called RSD. And, I'm traveling the world and trying to teach guys about success with women and trying to show them what I know. And sometimes I'll meet these other really cool guys that want to come in and do it too. And I'm like, look, our company's not perfect. There's a lot of disorganized things and chaotic things in it that probably is a big throwback from when I was young. A lot of that chaos in the company, and we've come such a long way, just even since 2014 when your shit went down. A lot of it was because even with your shit going down, we got so much more publicity, our audience grew so much more that we even have the funds to hire more people and get more organized. So that was kind of, thank you for that, even though it's a shit show. In the long, we took some hits, but in the longer run, we got worldwide press. Now we're sitting here, right? So that was kind of, the cool side of it. So it sort of worked out. Thanks. Yeah. So, yeah, sure, thank you, bro. So now what you have is there's a lot more peace and organization in what we're doing. But as I'm coming up, look, I'm just some young dude I got put in the book The Game. I got put in these David D'Angelo things, so I have a couple customers from that. And then, then we have YouTube, right? I don't know how to shoot a fucking YouTube video. I'm just throwing on the camera. I'm like, hey guys, is Tyler from Real Social Dynamics? I'm in Austin, Texas. Let's talk about intent. I'm just trying to learn it too. And then other people want to come along for the ride. So, sometimes I'll meet people who are just living in a really simple life. And now all of a sudden they're traveling the world, and we're going to cool restaurants, we're going to cool clubs. There's a lot of chaos, but we're doing cool stuff. And if they want to come on the journey with me and stay focused, they can do that, right? Simultaneously, I also have girls in my life. So some of these girls, I'm maybe a girl's living in a simple place. And I'm like, come travel the world with me. We're kind of broke, but come travel the world with me. It's going to be cool. We're going to go to restaurants. We're going to go to seminars. We're going to learn. We're going to grow together. And a lot of these girls that I've dated, it's the same kind of thing where somehow, some way, no matter how much I try, and no matter how much we want to be a family and a team and pull it together as a team, they don't want to finish the journey with me. And a lot of the time, they wind up going back to their old lives. I'd love to grab that, thank you. Even Tim experienced this after RSD for a bit, and him and I are good friends. We've talked about this, right? To where when he left well, that one's really good. We created these are kombuchas that we built. That's bite, it's got some bite, yeah. So, wow, okay, that's a shit. So Tim, when he left the team, he's kind of traveled with me, we're going to Greece, stuff like that. But then he kind of just went back to Aubrey, where he grew up, and he kind of just chilled and worked at a club for 4 years. But Tim had the taste of the glory, and he's brilliant, and he's smart, and he's talented. And for that reason, he eventually came back and built his new company, and that was really beautiful to watch, right? And so we kind of go through this, right? But there's something pulling him back. And I've seen this with exes of mine, where there's something pulling them back. There's almost like these karmic threads where the upbringing that you had, and let's be clear about this when I say upbringing, the upbringing that you had with the negative energy that's going back and forth, the gossip, the victimhood, the dissatisfaction, the feelings of self-harm, the dense energy, it just pulls you back. It's what you know. And somehow, some way, you get pulled back to what you know. And I can remember having experiences where I'm living in LA for a bit and I go back to Kingston, Ontario, and I'm taking a cab, like, from the airport back into town, and I'm talking to, say, the cab driver. And then I'm meeting people in a smaller town, and I ask them about their ambitions. And they're like, I just work at Home Depot. Yeah, the wife's always bitching me out. Gonna grab a beer tonight, eat some pizza, maybe check out a movie. And there's a lack of light in their eyes, right? It's that, like, the really big reward in this, it's in the pupils. As crazy as that is, you can see in the person's pupils. We're both very tired today, so I probably shouldn't, I don't know if our pupils looking pretty shitty, but hey, you can see their pupils. So, but you can see something going on. Like, a lot of people watch, say, your videos or my videos, and they're like, are these dudes like on coke or something? Like, why are their pupils so big? Then they think we're like enlightened, which is so crazy. Maybe compared to before, right? Like compared to before. Like, if I was in that old state and I saw someone even where we're at now, I'd probably be seeing light shining off them too, like I did with Randy, right? That's funny. When you're in a low state, if you even see someone in the middle, they seem enlightened. Like, they seem like some kind of elevated being. I don't know if Randy really is enlightened or not, but I would assume he's kind of just kicking it. But to me, in my low state, beginning to observe the difference, he seemed like an angel. Like, I mean that in no homo. Sorry, Randy. But anyway, like, it just seemed like I'm looking at a goddamn angel compared to myself. And there's this like opening in him that I see, and this sharing that I'm seeing, and my brain just can't process it, right? Because I'm in a different state. And the key here is we're in the same world, but we're in different worlds, okay? Let me say this again. We're in the same physical world, but we exist in different worlds. Those people living in, say, Rwanda, going on this massive low vibration attack where they all attack each other, they're living on the same planet Earth, but it's a different Earth. And as extreme or off the wall or outside the box as the things that we're saying are, what is a bunch of people attacking each other with machetes and killing each other? That's fucking crazy. And while I didn't come from that low of a space, I don't think anyone in my household had machetes. I was in the same world, but a different world. When I'd be around higher level people, my energy was toxic. I was bringing that with me. And so, of course, I'm covering this up. How in my game? With technique. I've got toxic energy that I'm carrying, but when I'm meeting women, I've got to use a technique like, say, a neg or a push away or a routine so that I can meet girls in spite of the toxic energy. Now, at this point, meeting women, oftentimes I go to really high level places in LA. I walk up, I just say hi, and as long as the energy coming out is really good and I don't self-qualify or act too weird, they typically ask me for my number, and then I wake up the next day and that girl's like, hey, it was a pleasure to meet you yesterday at the Tonic Bar. What are you up to today? Or I'd love to catch up soon. And that's so different. Like, that reality is so different than being young in this darker toxic energy and thinking that I've got to like manipulate and maneuver my way around it. Now, of course, the downside of that is that some people then come back around and they discount all technique. They're like, it's just all inner game. There's no technique. Just shut up. No, there's still technique. It is so valid. That's why we keep technique-oriented guys on the team. That's why we still teach it. It all has value. But notice that here, in the same way that if someone just has a great inner game, it's good to learn some technique. For guys that learn technique, if they go into this realm, there's this whole beautiful world of self-fulfilling prophecies that are opening up to you to where your life is just beautiful. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself a question, which is, how am I reenacting the traumas of my past to feed that trauma energy? How am I coming from a household that was dysfunctional and seeking out people that are dysfunctional? My big one is like, whenever I go to have a close relation to somebody, I seek out like the broken toys, the people that are damaged, and then I try to fix them. And then I try to fix them, and I try to fix them, and I try to fix them. But there's an expression in business, okay, and this is going a lot of different directions, obviously, so if you've made it this far, thank you. But there's an expression in business where they say, they say 2% of your clients are going to occupy 80% of your time with complaints, right? So say you run a business, right? If you run a business, it is so important to have customer service. I think we might spend around $1 million a year or something in that range on customer service and real social dynamics. We spend definitely over $1 million a year trying to make sure that everybody on the team is happy, having meetings, flying people in for meetings, getting their feedback, having open discussion, 360-degree feedback, and trying to please them. And we do that because I fucking care. It is so important to me. I fucking care. And taking that feedback, you know, when I was younger, I couldn't take feedback. Now I still don't like it, but I take it and I think about it and I have people around me all the time and I seek it out, right? So it's important on one level to have customer service. And if somebody's complaining, fucking answer and take that shit really seriously. That's so important. That's why we have money back guarantees on programs. That's why we have every night someone takes a program, they immediately get emailed and ask for their feedback. It's so critical. At the same time in business, they often say 2% of your angriest customers are gonna take 80% of your attention. And you get some customer who's just complaining, and you're running around in the state of reaction trying to fix it for them. Like, what do I need to do? How do I help you? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And no matter what you do, they're still mad because just like I would have still been mad. See, this is why I understand it, because I've been there. I don't even judge it, I understand it. I have to be proactive to not go there now. So I understand the mentality where someone is never gonna be satisfied. I've seen it. And this is why in business they tell you, fire your bottom 2% of customers. Just fire them. You know, they're like, I'm unhappy here. Okay, try to fix it. I'm unhappy here, try to fix it. I'm unhappy here, try to fix it. At a certain point, you look in their pupil, you see that they're carrying very dense energy, and you say, you know what? We're giving you all your money, and thank you for coming to us. Thank you. We're giving you all your cash back. You even had a bunch of free training. We're giving it back. And thank you for checking us out. We'd still be friends, all good to go. Ironically though, the same people who might have even had like a week of free training for free, typically those same people will still go on to go out of their way to publish negative things about their experience everywhere. Even though they took a week of your time, they got it for free, and they'll still go to write, you know, the bad Yelp review type thing. Well, why? And that's not to discount a fair negative review, and there are many, and that's part of life, and we got to take those and read them, study them, and do fucking better. At the same time, you know, somebody got all that training. Why'd they feel the need to do that? The venting, the victimhood, the dense energy. Someone even watching this, they'd almost feel threatened, like right now, like, why are you saying it's not real? It is real, right? Like and then they feel the need to vent about it. They often say that with customers, for example, like 1 out of 10 happy customers will spread the word, but like, you know, almost every angry customer will talk about it to no end. Like a really happy customer, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 is gonna go say something good because they're just a balanced person with a full life. They got too much going on to be like, good, right? But somebody who's mad, they're activating a circuit and they talk about it all the time. Well, how do I know that? Because I was that guy growing up. I was that guy where all I could talk about was how the government let me down, the system let me down. I believe that like there was a conspiracy against me, the Illuminati was against me. You ever see now where I'm like, I don't believe in Illuminati. I'll even make jokes about clickbait Illuminati. The reason that I'm kind of passionate about that, and you may disagree that there's an Illuminati. There is, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But maybe Julien Blanc is the Illuminati, right? Yeah, that's right, the symbol. But the reason why I've so often been like, there's no Illuminati, was because I grew up believing that shit. Like, I'm sad because the Illuminati, they call it untargeted discontent, where no matter what you do, there's this radar that's looking for something to be mad about. It's looking for, to reinforce that reality, to hold you in that reality. So part of coming out of it is like, when I would see people that I tried to help, like take girls, right? Like, I remember one girl, I took her from a life of doing very little to a life where she's traveling with me, going to cool places, doing cool things, spent so much cash on her. And she was lovely, and I love her so much. But a couple of years deep, she had some legitimate complaints with me. She wanted to break up. And you know, she got angry from time to time. So it was really important to me to take that feedback. And I said, you know what, let's, you know, I guess we'll spend some time apart. She was leaving. Let me work on fixing that for a couple months. And I really went out of my way to fix anything she said. And I remember when she came back, she was like, I know that you fixed everything I said, and I know I need to come back to you. I need to come back to you. My life will be fucked up if I try to come back to you. But she was like, and she was rubbing her head and she said, I can't. I just can't do it. And she'd have her own reasons why, right? If she was here, she would have things to say that would be very legitimate. But I remember at that point, it occurred to me, at a certain level, like attracts like. High vibration attracts high vibration, low vibration attracts low vibration. And this is the sad part, is that as you move up, you're almost like a snake shedding its skin, because people that are operating at a lower vibration, so to speak, and that's a very snotty, absurd spiritual jargon, but just, I don't know another word for it, so let's just go with it. People that are at a lower vibration, you can look up, say, David R. Hawkins, and read about the vibration scale. You know, the lowest being like apathy, then things like anger, and then things like, you know, apathy, victimhood, I should probably read it at some point, but apathy, victimhood, then into like anger, pride, like ego, then into like willingness, courage, and then into like joy, peace, love, enlightenment, right? And that's like a vibration scale, right? The lowest vibration is victim, self-hate, shame, self-attack, negativity. It's very heavy. And then as you go up, it becomes more like prideful. Maybe you even get a bit angry as a way to kind of move up. Then you go into like some courage and kind of ego, like I'm the shit. And then you go into just sharing and love and joy and so on. But the people that are in the lower vibration, they can't stand being around people in a higher vibration because it's not reinforcing that reality. And this is so amazing, by the way. We need to brew more kombucha like all the time and just drink it 24 hours a day. So basically people are in that lower vibration. And if you get around them, I can remember when I was younger, I'd go to complain, I'd go to be a victim, I'd go to be angry, and if somebody wouldn't say it back to me, like if somebody would just joke with me, like say the Tim or the Randys, like guys like that, I had to go home. I actually would feel tired if I didn't get to complain. I'd feel tired if I didn't get to gossip. I'd feel tired if I didn't get to be a victim or shame myself or blame everybody for my problems and take no responsibility. I'd feel tired if I actually had to have gratitude. If someone would get me to experience gratitude, I'd feel tired because I needed to stay there. And later, as I moved up somewhat, I would try to pull other people up. And I often felt like many of the people I tried to pull up were like those lead customers where you're spending 80% of your time on those few people who you just are not going to make them happy. And you're not going to make them happy, not because they're bad people. They're amazing people. I've never associated with someone who wasn't fucking amazing, who I didn't admire. And maybe some of the reason I didn't make them happy is because I fucked up. And I spent a lot of time looking at that. But another reason it can sometimes be hard to make them happy is the more good that you do, the more mad that they get. And we've seen this in even releasing in-field footage of hidden camera video of meeting women where sometimes someone's skeptical that you could do better and meet women because that'd be like a better life. So wouldn't you think that when you release a video showing yourself picking up girls and being successful, that those people that were skeptical would suddenly be like, wow, he's really doing it, it was real. That shit that I read about online, I thought it was so fake and you're doing it right here. This is so cool. I was so wrong. But no, they actually get more mad. They go, that's a paid actress. She's a drunk whore. It's either she's like some playmate who's therefore a slut. She's the girl next door who's not hot enough. She's a drunk ass whore. It never could be you went out, got better at socializing, worked on your inner game, worked on meeting people, went out, socialized, improved, and therefore you got this result. Wow, dude, that's inspiring. If anything, if you show them something more positive and you try to raise them, they snap back even harder. And just look at any of our shitty videos, there's no haterade on it, right? Everyone, it's just pure positive. But on the really inspiring videos that shed a lot of light, that's where there's the most snapback. I always thought, before there was Web 2.0, we talked about this earlier, right? Like Web 2.0 came out. Back in the day, we learned successful women from forums. Whenever anybody wasn't into it, I always thought, man, if only we could show hidden camera videos where they could see this, then they would get it. But actually, it just made people more mad. And you see the same thing when someone's wealthy. When someone's in the masses, they go, he got lucky, he cheated the system, he's unethical, immoral, a bad guy, he stepped on the head of the little man. And the underlying theme is, there's a scarcity of wealth and they're taking away from the pie. There's a great video online where this guy, he's a really rich guy, and he goes into the 99% Occupy Wall Street. And he puts up the sign, he says, hey, I am the 1%, and if you're the 99%, because he's ultra rich apparently, he says, and he's like, I'd love to have a dialogue with you. Come and talk to me about what you're mad about. And they come and they say, if you've got 100 million, if you just give me 50 of that million, I wouldn't have to starve. And he says, dude, I already pay half my cash in taxes, probably more, by the way, between all the taxes you add up. I'm already paying that, and I'm providing jobs. Capitalism is about compassion because it's providing jobs and it's raising huge tax revenue. And he's like, but you're taking from the pie. I just want a bite to eat. Can't you just give me half? And what the poor guy doesn't understand is that guy making the money isn't stopping you from reading. Question, are you reading books? Most business owners have created books with their best ideas, especially as they get older and they're gonna die anyway. Like Richard Branson, who owns Virgin, when he's into his later golden years, gonna die sooner. Felix Dennis, gonna die, he just passed away. You don't think they're gonna give away all their secrets? They're gonna give away a lot of them. But have you even read those books? Have you learned about business? We talked about crucial conversations and communication techniques, 360-degree feedback, spiritual growth, transformation. Have you done any of that? Have you tried any of this? If you think that you can't get girls, have you really given a good year or two to try the successful women stuff? If you don't believe you could get fit, have you tried? But they're not trying because they believe that somebody else being successful is taking from them. They believe they're a victim. They believe that they're being taken from and pulled away from. And I just see that and I go, God, I want to shed light on this. But most really high-level people, when you ask them about people they want to help, they just get this look and they're just like, man, right? And you go, how could we help? And they're like, I've spent years trying, man. You know, I go back to my family. I go back to my homies from back home. I go to the people I tried to pull up and they just fuck it up, right? It's like Jay-Z with like Beanie Siegel, right? That old rapper that he used to rap with. Beanie Siegel's so talented. He's such a sick rapper. But somehow, some way, Jay was able to move on to become a billionaire and Beanie Siegel goes back to just being, he gets shot. He's in the hospital for drugs and alcohol as far as I know. And he's just back to the hood. Somehow, some way, Beanie Siegel, and you can see this almost in all Rockefeller. Jay-Z and Kanye went on to do what they do, but even Kanye, you know, he's from kind of rough area, finds a way to make chaos. But all those guys like Memphis Bleak, Beanie Siegel, State Property, Cameron, the Dipset, all these guys that were like really good rappers, depending on your opinion, whatever you like, they kind of just go back to the hood. Even though they have all that money, they find a way to be mad at Jay, they go back to the hood, and the thing is that, like, you could be mad, but how's that gonna help? And Jay, somehow, he was like, this isn't healthy for me to continue on this path, and he married Beyonce Knowles, and went on to become super rich. And, you know, so you've got to, like, I have to, like, I feel like I'm always on that same precipice. Am I gonna be Beanie, or am I gonna be Jay? Am I going to go back to the way that I grew up, back into the fighting, into the chaos that I'm maybe addicted to, the bullshit that I'm addicted to, which I've made so many bad decisions. I've done so many things wrong. I sit here at 37, people saying that I've done good stuff, and me just going, no, I've for sure done good stuff. I'm not trying to like take it away, but no, I'm not a fucking role model. I'm a guy that has just done so much stupid shit. I've done so many things wrong. I've done things that were wrong to people. I have been a bad person, and I don't blame myself. It's just that was the paradigm that I was in, and these bad decisions that I made, and the chaos that I'm addicted to. Now, as we come out of it, and you try to move out of it, you say, I'm gonna associate with people who want peace. I'm going to associate to situations that lead to peace. I'm going to be okay being financially successful. When people win the lottery, typically, whenever somebody in a low state of the masses wins the lottery, they can win hundreds of millions, but somehow, some way, they find their way back into the heavy energy of the masses because that's what they know, that's what they're addicted to. You see this with Britney Spears. You know, you can take the girl out of the trailer park, but it's hard to take the trailer park out of the girl. And you see this, and you see, like Britney, so much opportunity. Her life's going so good, but why can't she just accept it? Because she was never trained. She's part of those masses. And this is why, when they talk about things like, say, the hood, like, say, urban environments, and they say that there's a disadvantage, one side of the argument, it's just one way of looking at it is, dude, it's America. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, figure it out, you've had more opportunity than anybody. But another way of looking at it is, you know what, maybe they have opportunity, but the cultural hypnosis that they're in is so low level, if it's in the rougher parts, like the really dangerous parts, that they never had a chance. And that's why they're gonna use alcohol, drugs, and things that are self-destructive, eat self-destructive foods, do self-destructive things, go to robberies and crime and maybe get put in jail, and they're gonna keep going back. Guys that are in jail are gonna keep going back. And so our passion, our work in this, and our healing process in this is healing our own shit, which is so crazy to heal. It's almost to the point that I'm like, can I even teach this? I'm such a fuck up. But then the other side of it is saying, well, wait a minute, we've been through it. We've been through that labyrinth. We've walked that labyrinth. We've crawled around in the dark trying to find the fucking light, just wasting decades in shit trying to find a light. And that's why why can I talk about this endlessly? Why am I so passionate? Because when I look at my life saying, you know, my shit really just started to really come together maybe around 35. People would say to me like, why don't you do like a pure self-help thing or pure money-making program and things like that, like for years now in teaching self-help, and I'm like, I'm not ready, man. Like, I'm a fuck up. I'm just getting to the point. But the cool thing as we've expanded into this work is like, we're looking at our lives now and like, yeah, there's still chaos, we still make mistakes, but when we hang out, we're not shit-talking, we're laughing, we're having fun, we're drinking a little kombucha, finances going real well, things getting more organized, things moving up, peace happening, happiness, hot women, good relationships. It's not perfect. There's still that string to the past, but it's moving up, and we're seeing it. And the major key is now we know why. We know the path. There's a bright future now. We've pushed by a force, not power, but force, to get a lot of the good things in our lives and learned techniques and methods and whatnot. But now we see this other side of it to where it becomes natural. And that's why, many of our wealthier friends, like say a guy like say Mike or guys like that, they grow up and their parents are good to them and they're not being yelled at or being bashed around, and they grow up high self-esteem. And Mike's a millionaire in his mid-20s. Why? I mean, a lot of reasons. You can't put it to one thing, but one reason maybe is that he wasn't traumatized. Maybe he was traumatized. I don't know what the fuck happened. Maybe his uncle fucking diddled. I don't fucking know. But sorry, Mike. But I don't know. But my understanding by talking to Mike is like, yeah, my parents were really good to me. They raised me to love myself. I wasn't too traumatized. It doesn't mean to blame your parents. If anything, it means to have gratitude to your parents, that if they're in that dark of an energy, that they managed to raise you, and that they managed to push through that to try to give you love in spite of all that anger or negativity or victimhood that they had. They tried their fucking best. I admire my parents more than parents that were not doing all that crazy shit, because my parents fucking tried harder. They pushed through more to give me life and to give me the chance to be a stop generation and to figure this stuff out. So to me, what it's about is saying, you know what? Modern society is new. It's by way of looking at it for sure. It depends on when you classify as the beginning of modern society. We're beginning to figure this stuff out. And the way that, the things that you have figured out, a lot of that, comes from you're standing on the shoulder of giants, of great mentors and great books that you've read, because you read all about this, but then you've gone even deeper and further through your own experience. And what I like about what you've done is you're relatable to the people who like our stuff, who like how it integrates with, say, success with women, for girls who watch your stuff, maybe success in dating themselves, to we have a more aggressive approach, right? We're not just like, just like heal a little bit, right? No, we're like, you're gonna heal and you're gonna be crushing it. So I like that you have that aggressive posture towards it. It's not like this circle jerk, let's just go in a pain and just cry, and then that's it. That's the outcome. The outcome is just to waddle in our pain and bong the fire drums or, like that. But it's like, no, how can we use this to build a great life? And, you were even commenting, we're shooting here in the super dope crib, which I share with my mansion mate. And we're sitting here and you made the comment you know what I like about shooting, say here? We're shooting in a super dope crib. We're dating hot women. We're having fun. We're laughing. This is different than, say, a lot of spiritual teachers that say take pride in walking around in rags, or they take pride in not having stuff. We're young guys. You more than me, but young at heart, right? Young guys, we got fucking testosterone. We want to fuck, okay? Excuse me. Eckhart, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. We like to fuck. Not each other, okay? So we like to fuck, okay? We like to have sex with girls we're attracted to. We like to succeed financially. We like to be healthy. We like to make an impact. We like to take action. We're charged up. We got fire in the fucking belly. So sorry, I'm not gonna be sitting on the park bench to you anytime soon. But we still have respect to that area, because we know that if a guy's gonna learn success with women, he's gotta come into it to where he's not forcing it and fighting through it and just powering through it in this absurd way that's so heavy and hard. And we're saying, dude, you're already successful. And if you're watching this from home or on your phone or wherever you are in this new Web 2.0 technological age, let me ask you a question. If you want to relate this in a simple way that you could really connect to, here's what it is. If you're a guy, have you ever walked up to a woman and you were just feeling good and it just made sense to you that you were that guy that she would date? It was just in your reality. And you walked up to that girl who's normally much more attractive and intimidatingly attractive than you normally would ever get. And somehow when you just walk up to her, you just say hi, you make a bit of small talk, and next thing you know, you're either making out or having sex, or you're getting a number and she's calling you the next day. Without a lot of technique, without anything manipulative, without too much overthinking, you just were that guy, you accepted it, and that was it. That was it. That's what we're talking about here. It was in your reality that you're that guy. And I don't want to get too woo here and say that you manifested it, but it's an apt word. You kind of just manifested it. Whatever you felt entitled to, whatever level of success that you felt entitled to, you got it. And in the same way, if you feel entitled to be around high-level people who you can network with, who would think you're cool. If you walk up, like back in the day, for example, when I was still, maybe around 2008, when I was still in the midst of a lot of that heavy energy, I would get invited out to networking groups of people who had seen my programs. And I'd be around celebrities. It was a thing called the Summit Series back then. And I'd be around I'd have like presidents of countries sitting next to me, and I'd have like famous rappers, famous actresses, super high level business people, whether it was like Uber, Spotify, like Sean Parker, Kind Bar, Airbnb, Gary Vaynerchuk. Like I'm kicking it in the crew with like movie stars, presidents of countries, politicians, business people, super cool philanthropists, right? Sounds crazy. Well, if you're watching from home, you know how some people are like RSD super fans? Well, the people that ran this program liked RSD, and they would fly me out for free and even put me up to be part of this group while other people were paying. I was so out of my league, man. I'm just like walking through, and they all think I'm this like super guru. Like, oh, here, meet this president of like Georgia, the country. And I'm like, hi, like meet this NFL football player guy. It's this like very handsome African-American dude who's like, he now does stuff on CNN occasionally, and he does stuff with Lewis Howes. He's kind of like I think he's friends with Lewis Howes, and this guy's meeting me, and the guys from Summit Series are like, this is Owen Tyler from RSD, he's so cool. And this dude's like looking at me, he's like, this guy's not cool. He just knows, and he's like, what do you do? And I'm like, ugh. And I'm feeling threatened. I'm feeling threatened by this guy. He's judging me. He thinks bad of me. And then by the end of it, he just leaves thinking I'm super weird. I'm leaving feeling like he attacked me and judged me, and that reality is just manifesting. I wish that I could just go to that exact same meeting with that guy right now. I don't know if I find some other way to fuck it up. I might put too much importance on it, but that was my journey, and that's why I'm so passionate, because think of me like even at that event. Oh, I'm being judged. I'm being taken advantage of. I'm a monkey in a cage. I even had, I would have like the owner of the guy running the main Playboy Mansion party in LA texting me to fucking hang out and come to the Playboy party for fucking free that other people have to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on, and inviting me. I had one of the major competitors of Tony Robbins. Again, like these really cool situations I landed myself in just by doing RSD. Really just because Neil put me in the game, people were kind of curious about me, and so they'd ask me these things, right? The guy invites me to the fucking Playboy Mansion, and I flaked him. And the reason that I flaked him was because I felt judged. I felt like he's mocking me. Why would he invite me for free? That guy who was one of Tony Robbins' main competitors in the 90s is one of the best public speakers in the fucking world, one of the best closers in the fucking world, one of the best marketers in the world. Repeatedly, he wound up taking my boot camp one-on-one in London. I felt like I learned more from him than me. He's one of the guys that actually gave me a lot of cues on what it means to be a fucking man. He's calling me for years after the boot camp just saying, bro, I'll mentor you. And I'm saying no, because I can't believe that they would fucking want to mentor me. And even at times, stunning women that are calling me and chasing me, and I'm feeling like they're fucking with me, because I can't believe that I would be in that reality. Me going to high-level situations that Nick, because Nick is such a great networker, and Nick is dragging me around, putting me into these different networking positions, and all I can fucking do is say no, I don't want to go. I even stopped going to Summit Series, and I would even say no to other entrepreneur things. Like I'd go to say EO, Entrepreneur Organization, and I'm around all these high-level entrepreneurs in LA, and I'm sweating bullets, and I'm feeling so fucking nervous. I can't be around that prosperity. And we made a video about this once. We were down at Sunset Plaza, and that was a video that we made right before your shift program came out. And I was wearing a purple shirt, and I remember we were walking by a restaurant, and it's this restaurant area called Sunset Plaza, and we were commenting that even though, say, Denny's is like $20, and to eat at Sunset Plaza is like $40, it's not that different. When you're from a lower paradigm, you just don't want to go to Sunset Plaza. You don't want to eat there. You feel judged. You feel uncomfortable. You're not amongst your people. You don't want to go to, say, Soho House. You don't want to go to that cool club. So a lot of the time when say you're watching at home, I keep saying, and you see me and Julien like, yo, we're at a celebrity-filled club, or we're at a club filled with models, you're thinking, or we're like at a mansion party, or say the mansion parties that we do here, which we do in my mansion mate Big Mike, he does that to compete with the Playboy party. You're thinking like we're some kind of like celebrity chaser or something like that. We don't give a fuck. That's never what it's been about. It was about making a choice to go, whoa, we're at the bottom, and we've got to expose ourselves. Like, it's not like celebrities run shit. It's not like fucking rich people or the Summit Series guys are the shit. They're just fucking people. Everybody's just people. But if you're good at not hanging out with them, that's fine. You don't need to network all the time. You don't need to meet the football player guy all the time. But if you're not gonna do it, don't do it because you just chose not to, because you have other priorities. Don't not do it because you felt judged, because you're giving them toxic energy, because you're feeling weird, and because you're basically like from the unwashed masses. That's a horrible judgmental term, but that's like a terminology. You know, the pitchfork wielding masses that are just always this untargeted discontent, always unsatisfied, always looking for something else. They're unable to be present and have gratitude for what they have. What's the number one symptom of not being present? You're mad about current reality, right? You could be sitting here with us, but you're mad about current reality. Say you come even to a free tour. Oh, I'm at the free tour, I finally get to meet Julien. But by the end of it, when the novelty's worn off, you're mad about reality. You can't accept the beautiful reality that you've been pulled into. Well, if you don't want to go, live in a big city, you want to live in a suburb, you want to just do your thing, you don't give a fuck about some Instagram person or whatever, that's cool, dude. That's so cool. But don't do it because you proactively chose not to, not because you're like me growing up, where there's a dark energy inside you that manifests. So now, what's been fun is learning habits like meditation, eating healthier, being around better people to get you thinking in different ways. The best concept for me is that concept of what else. And that's like, instead of shit talking, what else could we be doing? Instead of gossiping, what else could we be doing? Instead of being a victim and mad at the world, what else could we be doing? Instead of complaining, what else could we be doing? Instead of focusing on how people in our lives did us wrong, how could we focus on what the people in our lives did us right? Instead of hating, how could we offer love to the world? Instead of being in low vibration, how could we be in high vibration? Instead of being trapped in our heads, overthinking and making weird lies and having our selective focus, RAS, reticular activation system, think about all this weird stuff, how could we focus on the good stuff and manifest more of that? Whatever you focus on, you manifest more on it. If you're a victim, you start to live in a paranoid world where people are out to get you and mistreating you, ignoring you, and so on and so forth, and so on, and so on, right? And so how can we do that? And that comes down to even things like 360-degree feedback, like we talked about, creating openings, trying to improve, saying, how can we do better? How can we do better for clients? How can we make a better program for clients? How can we do better for the people on our team? How can we hear the feedback? How can we serve more? A lot of this thing with service, it sounds so crazy, like a life of service, a life of service. And it's like, why the fuck would I want to live a life of service? Because when you're in low vibration, you kind of want to take. You're like, I just want to get pussy. I want to, if you're a girl, like I want a hot boyfriend or a rich boyfriend, whatever you're thinking, I just want this, I want that, then I'll be happy. And then the people in high vibration, like a lot of the best leaders or entrepreneurs are saying service. You don't get that. When you're in low vibration, you don't get that. The desire to give service is a way to shake off the low vibration energy. When I'm in a low vibration state, what is the number one thing I can do to break that pattern? Go teach. Go make a video. Go help somebody else. Go do a charity thing. If you're in a low vibration state right now, I would dare you to go offer charity and get out of yourself and go into service. Because what charity does is, again, it puts up that little antenna that says, I am summoning better energy. It gets you off this loop of your own problems and being a victim and having that swirl on itself and get so negative, and it pushes you into this fucking higher state. And then from there, the world changes. You change. It's like a parallel universe that you enter into. You're still in the same physical world, but instead of being like that person from Rwanda that lives in this hell, you're entering into a different world, even though you are of the same physical world. And again, I know what I'm saying is so fucking crazy, but just look at the world. Look at the poverty. Look at the complaining, how most people, no matter how good things get, they bitch. The simplest thing to look at is this. You win the lottery, the average person wins the lottery, the money's gone. That's a fact most people don't get. You win the lottery, the money's gone. We've seen guys who just get so much opportunity, but instead of focusing on the good of it and maximizing it, they find some problem on it. They over-focus on it because their antenna is set to back to poverty, back to low vibration energy, back to being a victim, back to being, the victim of circumstance and people that are mean to me, and they're just pulled back. It's these karmic fucking threads, man. And whether you believe in karma or not, I don't fucking know either. I don't know, it's just words. But it's like these karmic threads to where, they talk about karma, right? They say, whatever negative things you do, you get back. Yeah, they're saying, like, if you do something bad, you get 3 times the negativity back. Is that true? Is that not true? Fucked if I know, dude. And anybody that tells you that karma is a fact, that to me is very dubious because nobody knows for sure. Even like the energy thing, high vibration, low vibration, no one knows that for sure. But it is a cool jargon as a way of thinking about it. And the reason I like that as a jargon, just as a way of thinking about it, as a thought experiment, is when you do something bad, the way that those karmic threads go to you is that you're still in that victim state. You're still in that taker state, and so your consciousness is suppressed. Then you seek out other people to argue with, other people to be victimized by, to be to victimize them, to attack you, and you just, so when you do something bad, you just get put back in that world. That's the karma. So it always comes back to get you in some way or other. Meanwhile, when you're doing good things, I mean, look, obviously you have to groom yourself too, right? Like part of that, like remember we said I was turning away great people or turning away women? Part of it is you do need to receive. There's an art in receiving. So sometimes low vibration is too much take and being victimized when you can't get what you want. But sometimes it's too much like, it's like giving to burn yourself out. And that's what I oscillate between. Here's me. I do this. I go, I'm younger, victim, 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 victim. I'm not getting enough. I'm not getting enough. But I'm trying to take. And I'm always feeling like I'm not getting enough, mad at people. Then I get older and I go, give. Give to other people. Create situations where I'm, losing tons of money to help bring somebody else up. But now they feel like, well, why would he lose money to pull me up? He must be tricking me or manipulating me. But really what I'm doing is I am so addicted to being in that victim state and having something to complain about that even in a perfect life, I will create a victim. I will create someone to victimize me. I will be like, I was so good to them and look what they did to me now. And why am I doing that? To replay that same fucking shit. And so that's when I say my life has been a train wreck. Look at what I've done. I get myself in all the things that happen in the game and like having that argumentative energy. Then getting involved with people who I know have no clue what I'm doing for them, and then them getting mad at me and then me going, why did they do that? I am a victim, poor me, after everything I did, poor me. And then me finally saying, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Just like Jay-Z, right? He's like, I'm done. I'm not just gonna keep banging random hoes. I'm gonna marry Beyonce. I'm not just gonna keep being out in the fucking hood. I am going to be hanging out with President Obama. I am not gonna be arguing with Beanie Siegel. I am going to move forward. And he's done a lot of fucked up shit wrong. A lot. He's assaulted people and been pulled in jail for that. He's made huge mistakes. He's fucked up people's albums. Same with me. I've done shit that I'm so ashamed of, and I've been so wrong. And a lot of people that have been, frustrated with me are so right. And that's just a fact. Take the book, The Game. While that was so intense, at the end of the day, how could I not just go, cool, dude, you got me. You're right, man. What do you want me to fucking tell you? You're right, okay? You got me, okay? I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Anybody that saw me do something, I'm fucking sorry. And anything that I do today, I'm fucking sorry. But at the same time, the next level is saying, hey, you know what? That's where I was at then. I'm cleaning up my fucking mess. I hold my palms up and say, I'm sorry for what I've done. Even if places I've been victimized, there's a lot of places where I have been the asshole and I'm fucking sorry. And then taking ownership of that, taking responsibility and trying to do better. Try to do better for clients, team members, friends, the people that I love, my family, trying to be for my two sons, never getting mad in front of them, never exposing my children to that energy, working on integrity, working on doing better and saying, I'm ready to be at peace. I'm ready to wake up here, look at the sunrise, have a beautiful girl beside me, eat a beautiful meal that we've fermented, right? Go to a nice restaurant tonight, work really hard today, not procrastinate, not feel the need to dick around on the internet, not feel the need to get in an argument, and probably I'll slip back at some point, but you know what I mean, right? And my amount of arguing has gone from this to this. My amount of procrastination has gone from this to this. My amount of shitty food that I eat way too much food, and that's low vibration, by the way, but I eat healthy food. I haven't been sick since 2012. This to this. Getting sick 10 times a year, down to not being sick since 2012. This to this. Blowing money, wasting money, and mismanaging money. This to this. But it's still a fucking work in progress. And what is that work? It's transformation mastery. That's that work where, you get, you're here, you want to be here, but we're doing it. We're fucking doing it. And as we're moving along that path, yes, things are going to pull us back. And yes, things are going to suck and we're going to make mistakes, but we're moving forward in a direction of success. So I want you to crack into it. And what I would ask you at home, here's what I would ask you. Given what I've just fucking shared here, okay, and I've made myself very, very, I don't really know how much more open I can make, everything from stories to heartfelt apologies to taking responsibility, talking about where I fucked up, all that. If you're hearing this, am I connecting with you? Is this hitting home? I've rambled, I've been all over the place, but is any of this fucking hitting? And what I would ask you is there a way forward? What will your life look like in 5 years if any of this relates with you, if you don't get on top of this? What would my life or Julien's life look like if we didn't get on top of this? And let me ask you another question. Look, if you're trying to save for retirement, do you go down to like Barnes & Noble and get like retirement for dummies and sit there for years pouring through retirement for dummies? Or do you go get a highly qualified person to show you what to do? While you're working at home and you're waking up at home and you're going to your office while you're working at your office and you're doing what you do. Let's say you're a computer programmer. You're doing what you do, programming. Well, what Julien's doing here is Julien is figuring this stuff out. We've collaborated. That's why I've been doing some videos this week. He's been figuring this stuff out. He's going, Owen, since you've been changing, the business has exponentially grown in size. You're healthier, you're happier, you're not getting involved in that shit, and you're moving forward. You're putting out great videos, you're moving forward. Okay. Julien himself, his channel, growing, things are moving up. Well, we're doing that. How are we doing that? You're dating the hottest women you've ever dated. Your game is the best it's ever been. You're laughing more, you're smiling more, things are good. That gap between where you were and where you're going is growing, and what's crazy is it's accelerating exponentially. It's going into upward spirals. Good things are feeding on good things, and they're going up and up and up. And how can we share that? And so for me, transformation mastery, what it's about is taking that trauma that people have, where they're reenacting the pain from their past, where they're fucking up, where they're not being honest with themselves, where they're coping, they're blocking off, they're making excuses, they're making rationalizations. And how much have those excuses cost you? How much has these fucked up things that you've done held back your life? Are you really gonna get there by just say watching inspiring YouTube videos, or are you ready to get to work? And that's why we call this the work. That's why we are so serious about it. That's why we put into this, is because your life, as far as your success with health, wealth, relationships, higher purpose, game, so to speak, and all that has deeper levels to it. And so we've been teaching for years, and we've hit on many different angles and shown the different ways that we've gotten success. And now, they say that when you put in your 10,000 hours to mastery, you kind of hit like a genius level after 10 years. And we're so deep into this that this is kind of the fun time in our teaching, because now the distinctions after years of teaching are getting to the point where you're seeing guys with results that are getting they're getting from point A to point B so much faster. And it's like, this is where the genius is kicking in. This is where I've watched you master things like, say, success with men and game and so on and so forth. And I'm seeing you hitting people on such a deep level. You've got them in tears. You're hitting them on a level where they're walking out of environments on a cloud. I had that one seminar that I did in New York, and it was a preview for the hot seat that I did, where I saw guys, I had them screaming and doing and letting go of things and imagining what it would be like to die and getting clear. And people there are saying, am I fucking enlightened now? I've never fucking felt like this. And I thought that was big time. And people are saying they cried in the video, but your shit is fucking big time. As usual, like with our game, I do pretty good and then Julien crushes me. I did pretty good in that video, in that seminar, and Julien has taken those ideas and just bang. And you're the kind of guy where you have really no limit. Like, that's the biggest thing that I've learned from you, is there's no limit. And I've watched you push this as no limit. There's just no limit to what can be done. How much success can you get? You want people to win and win and win. They get fucking sick of winning, they're gonna keep fucking winning, okay? Because that's a big thing, People sometimes, they've been losing so fucking long, they don't know what it feels like to taste a fucking win. But at a certain point, you gotta say, no, it's time to win, it's time to make a change. And the time is right now. And you need to think about, where you're going as far as your higher purpose, your happiness, your health, wealth, relationships, all that, and say, you know what? It's not a fucking magic pill. I think that's been very clear here. But if somebody has taken all the time that I've done to figure this out, and they've taken time to figure out how to teach it, and they've taught to thousands of people and seen the results and measured it, how could I benefit from that? And basically have somebody take me by the hand past the smoking wreckage of failures and fuck-ups and people that never made it, and take me directly from point A to point B to the promised fucking land. And you gotta think about how good that would feel. And as much as things aren't perfect, goddamn, why do you see this level of outpouring or passion or conviction? Why have you seen us push through this? Because you need to learn. And the benefit of what we've been through is that we can say, it's been a lot, but here it is, man. Here it is. There's so many programs out there too, by the way, where people just put a program together just to put it together. This is a labor of love and passion to where you could be like losing sleep. I've seen you working on transformation mastery and you're doing Instagram live streams. Your face is all puffed up. You're exhausted. You've been in the fucking lab. And that's called a labor of love. And that's called a calling more than just putting something out to put something out. This is because for you, I know you. When you see that person on the street, when Julien sees you on the street, the fact that you had a transformation or not, that's what's going to dictate your sense of happiness or self-esteem and make sense of this journey that we've been on so that you can have results. So I want you to think big. I want you to think massive success. When we try to show you, out making out with 2 girls at the same time, balling, doing fun things, we're doing that to try to show you something fun and inspiring. It's not to rub it in your face. It's to show you what can be possible. I know that for some people that just makes them mad, right? But they don't have an opening, so nothing's going to connect. But if you have an opening and you say, why not me? This could be me. This could be you. And when you see that it could be you, and you see that you don't need to go through this crazy shit, you can move there faster. Nothing's a magic pill, but we can make some serious dents in this and some crazy progress. And you know that Julien always delivers the goods. You can see why this is big. And you can see why we've been putting the promotional effort into this and bringing it to the table and expounding on it and helping. And this is the beginning of something huge. And it's a movement. And it's a movement that even girls are part of now. And this is a direction that we're moving in. What you're seeing there inside is probably something very different from what you've seen me normally do, which is typically in self-development, what we're teaching is reframing, creating a better story, and just being positive, never being the victim, essentially, right? And what I'm doing in here more, what you've just seen me kind of go through is instead of doing the typical power through, find the optimistic viewpoint, and just reframe everything as in your favor, what we're doing here is we're letting it come up. So you can feel that it's, I hope you found the story fascinating. I don't know what you thought, but I hope. But you might have also found it a little heavy. And so in sharing the story, we bring up a different type of energy than maybe you're used to seeing from us in our inspirational videos. We're bringing it up. So that's kind of, as a model for you, I'm trying to be, going first here and showing that I can let it up, my past, the heavy energy that I carry with me, that energy that if I ever do weird somebody out, is probably some of that energy that I'm carrying with me. And then now we talk about in letting it up, not reframing it, not stuffing it away, not medicating it, not running away from it or any of that kind of stuff, but rather just letting it up. Okay, it's here, and then can we let it go? Okay, so this is a different type of focus in self-development where, the victim story is maybe even encouraged, to let that worst case scenario up and see what your mind is doing, see what those darker parts of your mind are doing, those shadow parts of your mind are doing, and letting go of it.
Yeah.
So then our next part then, of course, is you giving some breakdown of it. And of course, we'll break it down here, but obviously transformation mastery is like the program on it, but we're trying to give as much as we can here. We're going several hours, so just kind of start ripping it apart a little bit. Taste.
First of all, dude, props for actually opening up and letting that stuff come up. As I talk about in transformation mastery, that's the first step for anyone and the hardest thing to do. It's having that willingness to face what it is you keep stuffing down, face what it is you're running away from with the intention of letting it go. Because what'll happen is you'll either keep stuffing it down and ignoring it. That's the whole just focus on positive things, positive thinking, reframe everything, and it just stays there. And what you have to realize is that by keeping it there, by ignoring it, it's not going to go anywhere, and it keeps fueling everything that you do.
And let me ask you a question. I try to talk in a way where I'm going to try to own it, but then I can see some of my own rationalizations or making excuses. And I feel like at the end of the day, whatever fucking happened, just own it. Even if some shit was someone else's fault, just fucking own it. Just take responsibility. I mean, do you feel like in letting it up? Because I've been doing this, but you've been taking to an even much deeper level. Do I let it up in the sense where I even reveal some of my excuses and rationalizations for my stupid behavior, or do I just, is the best thing to do to just fully own it, just take total responsibility, or is it a mix of both, or what are we doing here?
That fully owning it, if you go extremely deep, is the key to letting go. Letting go isn't something you do. In reality, letting go is full self-acceptance, which we'll get to, but just to quickly hammer on this, stop running away from this. You have to choose to go into it. As long as you keep running away from it, it won't go anywhere because it's what's fueling everything that you do. By you, for example, not being happy, trying to be happy, it's still fueling that you not being happy to begin with. By you not being fulfilled, trying to be fulfilled, by doing something, for example, it's still keeping that you that's not fulfilled alive. So that's how most people go about it. And the other thing that'll happen is people will start diving into it, but then their intention is not to let it go, it's to hang on to it. And that's where you have like victim cases where it's like, I'm such a victim, look at all these problems about me. But it's not about self-acceptance, it's about fueling your ego that way.
Self-attack.
Exactly. So in terms of letting go, as I mentioned, it is full self-acceptance, and kind of linking back to what you were talking about with your childhood, everyone is traumatized. And that's the first point I want to hammer home here. It's like, I don't care who you are, everyone is traumatized. Even if you think you had the perfect childhood, you were traumatized, and it wasn't the intentions of your parents, as you said.
Ever.
Ever. There's this quote, your parents love you, they just don't know how to love you, if that makes sense. And
or they even do, but just not always.
Yeah. I mean, here's what we have to understand, though. It's because, you come into this world, you come into a society, and this is huge, by the way. You come into a society, there are certain rules, there are certain guidelines, you need to be socialized. That's good, because without these guidelines and rules, we would all, we wouldn't thrive, we wouldn't survive together, shit would be just chaos. However, due to the way that we're raised, which is, if you're good, you're rewarded. If you're bad, you're punished, you're shamed, so on and so forth. And due to the fact that as children, we have a very limited perspective on things, and we depend on our parents in order to survive. If they abandon you, you'll die. Here's what happens. Let's just say you're at a restaurant and you're loud. Just random example. You're loud at a restaurant and your parents tell you, hey, don't be so fucking loud. And you get punished, they withdraw their affection, they shame you for it. Instead of just viewing it like we'd view it now, like, oh, here's a restaurant, maybe due to the context, I'll start maybe not being so loud or, interfering with other people's conversations. Totally fine. There's a certain guideline. We interpret it as, oh my God, me being loud right now could risk me being abandoned because when I'm loud, my parents withdrew their affection and I could die. Okay, due to, again, the way that we're raised, our limited perspective as children, and it's extremely traumatic because it becomes a question of life and death. And what happens is we start disowning, if you will, that aspect of us that is loud. We start suppressing it and saying, this is not me, and we shove it in the back shadows of our subconscious mind. Now we think it's gone, but in reality it stays there, and the more we ignore it, the more the charge behind it builds. It's like, say you avoid cleaning your room as a kid. It's not that big of a deal to clean your room, but if you don't do it for like a month, there's so much dread that it's just amplified. And that's what happens.
I've seen this in myself, by the way, because, so I've been talking here in my story, I start to notice as I get older, I start going to see massage therapists once a week. I mean, it feels so bad for me, right? Massage once a week. But but actually, it was funny because there's this spa area where I go after the massage. Usually my friends are waiting, and they're like, was it wonderful? Do you feel relaxed after the massage? And I'm like, no, my muscles are so tight that every part of my back that they press on is in severe pain. And for I don't even know how much I told you. I think I referenced this to you. For 1 year, I started going to the spa, and so I'd been training for so long, right? Always hitting the gym like super hard. And what started to happen was my shoulder started to get fucked up, right? So I was starting to press, pretty heavy weight for me, not for a trainer probably, but for me, bone for a military press. And then all of a sudden, my fucking shoulder goes out, right? Now I go talk to my doctor, say, you need surgery. And I'm like, fuck, do I really need surgery? But in my mind, I know I didn't fucking need surgery. I'll tell you why. Because I know how fucked up I am. And I know I'm a mess. So I'm like, okay, this is not surgery, this is mental. And that's the thing with modern medicine, right? They're gonna wanna put you on Prozac or give you fucking start cutting your arm apart and shit. Now the crazy thing is this, right? The idea of modern medicine is say they give you Prozac, it's like, you're gonna stay the same, you're not gonna release this, you're gonna hang on to this, it's gonna poison drip you till you're half fucked. But we're gonna give you Prozac, assuming you're not gonna take action. Or, take like a fat burner. It's like, you're gonna keep eating the same amount of calories, so just take ephedra while you eat the same amount of calories to lose weight.
Symptoms,
right?
Instead of the cause.
So I knew that if they kept massaging out the tension, they would eventually loosen the muscles, and my back was so tight, it got to the point where now, when I actually get hurt, like physically hurt, say like doing sports or something, I don't even feel pain that much, because for 1 hour every week, I'm being tortured. I would joke with my therapist that it was like an S&M thing where I'm like, yes, mistress, dominate me. And I'd be like, for like an hour. Because the tension built to the point that the systemic cortisol was there. They had to massage it out. They say the issue's in the tissue. And then I would go downstairs and use sauna and sweat the cortisol out. I noticed you, after the Julien Gate thing, you started gravitating towards yoga because you could just feel you're letting it go. And you'll see this even in saunas where when someone won't sweat, okay, now this is getting way out there, not medical advice, you know, in successful women we know our shit. This one is me kind of guessing, but I have often speculated that people that are really tight in their muscles and that can't even sweat when they go in a sauna are holding on to that cortisol so much that the body doesn't want to let the sweat out. And that's great, but to me, the most powerful way of addressing it, you know, beyond physically, and that's great done as a synergy, like you've done yoga, for example, you got into that, and or even like, you know, fat that you carry on your body and trauma from that. I think that where you've really gone far is you've actually done the most effective, which is letting go and like and going really deep on that, which we've learned from mentors of ours, and then you've just gone, you know, miles further as far as delving into that topic.
It's like this is like truly getting to the cause. And even linking to like all that stress, which again will manifest in like physical symptoms, that's what comes from like that massive self-hate that we all carry. And this is how crazy it gets. So going back to say you're shamed as a kid, you start disowning that, and that's the birth of 1, the ego, and 2, self-hate. Because that's what the ego is. It's like you tell yourself this is what's acceptable, and again, it's completely subjective due to your perspective in the environments you were in. For one person, let's just say being loud, they'll be shamed for it. For another person, it's not being loud. They'll be shamed for that. So it really depends on you. But because of that, you're like, this is okay, this is not okay. And you start trying to perfect and fuel this ego, which is what's acceptable, and you start trying to distance yourself from what's not acceptable. So there's this enemy inside of you because it won't go anywhere. It's all the stuff that's unacceptable, and because of that, you just hate yourself nonstop, and you just walk around with this ball of angst that just builds and builds and builds. And because most people just don't want to face it, and this is how crazy it gets, your body will literally start showing like physical symptoms until you just can't stop ignoring it. And not just that, but it'll basically, as we said, it's like you're going to start seeking out, and again, it gets pretty crazy here, but you're going to start seeking out different situations for you to re-experience what like you refused to experience back then. For you to finally accept, for example, those aspects of you that you started suppressing and disowning. So
the gift in the trauma is that it's a chance to let it go.
Exactly. It's like the trauma, that's the stuff you have to let go of. And until you do, you're going to keep reliving it, and it's going to keep running you, and you will ultimately never be at peace. And it doesn't matter how much you work on amplifying your ego or compensating for the stuff you hate, because that's what we do. I hate this about myself, but I will compensate by getting more money, more girls, more success, you know, et cetera, trying to inflate the ego. But guess what? It doesn't matter how much you compensate, you're still compensating. So what's cool about your breakdown here and about you being so like vulnerable and honest is you notice the pattern. You know, for example, like looking for people, trying to fix them up, so on and so forth, or the different people you date. That's like a huge one.
That date one too is crazy because you see a girl who say gets cheated on, and then she's like, every guy cheats, but her compass is attuned to like one guy in like 50 even can cheat because he's got to know how to do cold approach pickup or be in some kind of circle where he's the man, and yet whereas the average guy just. It's not that he wouldn't cheat, he just can't. Yeah. And yet somehow she finds that guy that would cheat, or, you know, you find some girl that's been in this like horrible abuse, and you're like, oh my God, that guy did that to you. That's disgusting. That's repugnant. And then she's like, yeah, the last 12 guys did that. God, men are evil. And you're like, 12 in a row? You know, and then you wonder, like it's not like it's still these horrible guys, but the point is like, how did you find that? And that's what I do a lot. Like I find that experience, or that chaotic person or experience to bring that back to life and keep reliving it.
Yeah, and that has to do with what's in your subconscious too. Like, say you take, again, someone who just keeps being cheated on, or someone who's extremely chaotic. What happens is, as a kid, we both know this, like you learn either through firsthand or secondhand. And through secondhand, you're always looking for, okay, how certain is someone in their ideas? How many other people believe in those ideas? How much authority is behind the ideas? As a kid coming into this, not only will you be shamed for certain things, you're like, okay, this is unacceptable, but in order to get your bearings in the world, you will learn through firsthand, but also secondhand from, figures of authority, say teachers and parents. So you're gonna look at your parents like, okay, what is love? What is a relationship? And that will be like your core belief, if you will. Like that's the first thing that comes in, and then you're gonna start seeking evidence to reinforce that, and that will become your definition of a relationship, your definition of love. And that's stored in your subconscious, like that's handled, let's keep moving forward. And now consciously, here you are, you're like, you know what? I want a relationship where, you know, the person doesn't cheat. I want a relationship that's not destructive like my parents, yet subconsciously, that belief that's been fueled and charged and that there's that fucking momentum behind it is, no. Love equals you being cheated on. Love equals destructive relationship. Love equals chaotic drama, craziness in your partner, and you will just keep gravitating towards that. So any kind of pattern is always linked to a trauma in the past. You know.
Do you believe that people's reality ultimately that they have attracted those people in their life, or do you think it's maybe partially that and then partially their fault too, or do you think that they even attract good people and then like turn them bad due to self-fulfilling prophecies, or what's your?
I think that you will attract whatever. It sounds cliche, like whatever you need.
But do you think you can even attract good people and you bring it out of them almost?
Maybe, but here's my view. It's like you will attract what you need. So in reality, it's like you could view it like, why do I keep attracting, say, the person who's like self-destructive? Or why do I keep attracting all these horrible scenarios? All those things, although they could be viewed as bad, in reality, they are opportunities for you to re-own all that stuff, for you to let go of it. Like, say you're someone who's, man, I don't know, like say you go through that traumatic experience of
Breakup.
Like a breakup. Yeah, extremely traumatic like breakup. You will keep having those similar experiences in your life, be it through, again, relationships, friendships, work, whatever it is, and it'll just keep amplifying. And you can view it like, why is it all these bad things? But in reality, it's for you to finally experience it, to finally let go of that.
I think because you see people like, I just want to be loved. Like, why can't I just find a peaceful relationship? I just want to be loved and cherished. And in your mind, you're thinking like, do you though? And I've had this with girlfriends where, you know, I go into the relationship and it's so fresh and it's so full of life. It's like this perfect paper without a fold in it. And then the girl might start saying to me like, you don't love me. And I'm like, I love you. And she's like, no, you don't. You don't love me. And I'm like, I've been here for you. I don't judge you. We have good sex. We have fun. Let's just laugh and have fun. And then she's like, no, you don't love me enough. Or I've had like, you know, other friends of mine where it's like, you don't appreciate me. And then I get in this loop where like, I'm like, do I appreciate you now? Now do I appreciate you? And it's almost like the more that I do, the more that they're not getting their trauma. Yeah. And then, like that one girl, that girl who did that thing like, you don't love me, I loved her so much. It was such a privilege to be with that girl. I think of her, I jerk off to her. She's so cool. But yet, as the relationship started, and she just kept hammering me with, you don't love me? You wanna know something? I kind of fell out of love. And you know, it hit a point where when I heard that you're not in love with me for like the 900th time, it was like, you know what? Maybe you're fucking right. It was like it brought it out somehow. You know, or somebody who just keeps saying like you take me for granted, you take me for granted, and I'm like, now do you feel appreciated? Now, you know, and you're like in this reaction, and then it gets to the point where they so don't feel that you appreciate them that you get to the point where like no matter what you do, you're not going to satisfy them, so you stop trying, and it's like, you win, I don't appreciate you, you win, and so I felt like they almost bent me to their reality to the point where I gave up the will to continue, and then I wonder if I'm doing that. Where am I doing? Like, cause see, when I see someone else do it, I'm not like, look what they're doing. My biggest habit, my most winning habit that I've had in my whole life, despite all my fucking stupid shit, my biggest habit is when I see somebody doing something weird, the question I ask is, what's my version? Like with my ex, with one of my many exes, with my ex, when I see her saying, you don't love me, where's my thing where I'm doing that to a girl? Where I'm making her stopping loving me because I'm doing that to her, or you know what? If I took for granted, where am I making that person do that? And Eckhart Tolle, one of the big things I took from him is he said, whatever you feel like you're being withheld is actually what you are withholding from the world. So sometimes when I get in patterns like that, I really try to tell the person, like, I love you, I care about you, I appreciate you, because maybe if I don't feel appreciated, they'll start giving that appreciation back.
So that's cool, but going even deeper, it's asking yourself, how do you feel? Like, what sensations come up when that happens?
When I feel,
it's like,
I feel,
okay,
I
you
feel
don't
like,
love me
I feel
enough.
like,
That happens. Instead of being like, okay, well, where am I doing that? It's what's going on inside when that situation happens. What's triggered inside of me? What sensations arise?
Now, in doing that, could I have had a chance to make that person feel more loved or appreciated, or do you think that it's just that's their thing, or? Did we attract each other to trigger each other? Some people, like, that's one of the craziest things in the trauma work. This is one of the craziest things in trauma, okay? They say, when you feel love at first sight, fucking run. Joke, don't take that literally, but in some ways, fucking run, because that means that you found your perfect trauma partner. Like you found that perfect person to trigger you, and you're gonna trigger them, and that feeling of love is actually you're gonna traumatize each other. And they sometimes say that you're gonna bring it out of each other. I don't want to scare you on truth. Now we've really fucked up love, right? But
well, no, because my view is actually like triggering is fucking awesome. Like whoever will trigger you is fucking like that's the key. Like I make people get triggered during my live events. Like a big one people have is like social anxiety. I'll make them go out of the seminar room for like an hour and do like these social anxiety drills to get triggered, because everyone has been shamed when it comes to like social anxiety in the past. Like you're too loud, you get shamed. So here it's like reliving that. Like I want them fucking triggered, because that's the best time to dive into those sensations. Because whenever you're triggered, that's that past trauma, that thing you tried to disown, that's like bubbled up to the fucking surface. And now you have like this clear shot to dive into it and try to let go of it and accept it. So that's the key, is like whenever you're triggered, step one is don't focus on whatever triggered you, and don't think logically like, where am I doing that? Like that'll help, but it won't get to the cause. Getting to the cause is, okay, I'm triggered. Thank you, like thank whatever triggered you, whoever triggered you, and then bring awareness inside, not to the story, but like to the actual sensations. And then it's releasing that. And then of course, like the other person, most likely you attract each other due to the fact you were kind of on that same level. And of course, she probably has the same type of thing where she will get triggered, and maybe her saying like, you don't love me, like that is her getting triggered. Who knows? I mean, that's, whatever she's dealing with. And then she can choose to also view that as an opportunity to let go of something, and you can move up together. But what will tend to happen in most cases, especially if you're someone who's into the whole personal development world, is, I mean, that's the hard thing with like partners, is until you find someone who's as dedicated as you to move up, you'll keep meeting people, and then eventually like the gap will be so big that you'll somehow part ways. You'll find someone new, so big, part ways, find someone new, so on and so forth.
Which is what's happened to me.
Yeah.
Which is cool or not cool. It's actually cool. It's actually so cool because you get to like bang new girls, right? Which is fun. But then at some point, you want to have kids or have a long-term partnership, and that, so you're starting your late 30s and you're like, fuck, what am I going to do about this?
True, but the higher up you do move, the more you will find people who are willing to move up with you. Because for them to be on that level, there has to be that willingness, But I mean, that's the biggest key, is like whenever you're triggered, that's awesome. Seeing patterns, that's also signs of stuff that's in your subconscious. Be aware of the patterns. Like whenever you're pulled back to something, whenever you get into the same type of relationships, whenever like you self-sabotage, like that was for me like the biggest one. It's like a little bit, boom, I just pop it, and I'd find like these subtle ways, and you'd rationalize it like in your mind, like it's totally fine, yet it was still there.
Well, the thing with you two is whatever you're gonna do big. So if you self-sabotage, you're gonna do it big.
Well, it actually starts small. It starts small, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like the small ones, like if they didn't get your attention to bring some awareness to what it is you're running away from, it'll get bigger and bigger. And I'm stubborn as shit, so of course it's like until the whole world like pops, I'm like, oh, finally bring some awareness to that. But patterns are big. Whenever you're like, as you said, like self-medicating, or whenever there's like any like signs of escapism, that's usually something you're running away from, something you need to dive into and let go of. Like if you overeat, if you're sitting down and suddenly you get extremely bored and you start like, for guys, it's like masturbating. It's like any signs of escapism, instead of going to whatever that is, sink into what you're running away from. And
it's a funny image.
I know, it's like put the hand down and sink into, like what's like making you act out of desperation in that way there. That doesn't mean, as a little side note, that you should not like masturbate. Like, here's my take on like masturbation.
Show them.
Here's my take on masturbation. There are times where you are genuinely inspired to come, and then there are times where you're doing it out of desperation, where you're running away from something. So let's just say, here's the inspiration part, here's the desperation part. What most people do is they just block it off. They're like, never masturbate, and they suppress the inspiration part. The key is get to the
inspirational jerk.
The inspirational
infield footage coming soon.
Inspirational fapping, like hashtag inspirational fapping. It's like, get rid of what's triggering like the desperation part, like get to the cause, what you're running away from, and then all you're left with is
the inspirational fap. And that's the point of transformation mastery.
I know. No, but the key
and
here
then
is,
the testimonial, some guy like I've did.
No, but the key is like, it's like finding what it is you're running away from, and in Transformation Mastery, I show you like what to look for because it is unique to you. It's bringing awareness to that, being willing to let go of it, diving deep into those sensations, realizing too that a lot of this does happen during our upbringing. So if you start noticing a pattern or sometime you're just triggered, it's being aware of those sensations, asking yourself, okay, when was, maybe a previous time I experienced this, and when was, say, the first time I experienced this? It's going back to the cause. Because, if it's a pattern, all those new traumatic experiences are basically a reflection of the original one. I mean, the key here is really about self-acceptance, about accepting everything, because anything you resist, you're hanging on to. That's really what letting go is you're hanging on to it. You're resisting it by saying, I don't want this. This is not a part of me. I don't want to experience this. Another one is emotions. People don't want to experience, say, pain or anger. And by resisting it, that's why they're suffering. In reality, if they just let go of it, those emotions, those quote unquote painful emotions would run their course, And that's really the process. That's how you get to the cause. That's how you let go of all this shit that's running you. That's how you let go of self-hate. And in a way, too, finally get that core confidence. Because if you think about confidence, the way most people go about it is they build that situational confidence based on, say, money, like they'll do like surgery, like looks, cool, like, different, like, I don't know, like cool, like friends, et cetera, et cetera. Going even deeper, they're like, okay, well,
penis extension surgery.
Yeah, it's like
steroids.
Yeah, steroids, like all those external things. But if you want to go even deeper, even things like working on your personality, although it helps, it's still amplifying, quote unquote, the ego. In reality, it's when you accept all the shit you hate about yourself, you think is unacceptable, only then is there just that core confidence. And it's not depending on anything, it's just cuz.
So you're saying it removes the charge around the reactive energy or dense energy.
Yeah. And that's what you'll notice. That's the first thing you'll notice, by the way, when you start letting go of this, is you just stop being so fucking reactive. You'll stop resonating with different, say, frequencies. You'll start being triggered all the time. And it'll be very subtle. It's like you'll do the process, and there's different releases in Transformation Mastery. I show tons of examples, and you'll go through them, and then you'll just notice, like, day to day, like, say what someone calls you, and every time, like, they do something to piss you off, you're like, God damn it, like, you just trip out.
Triggered.
After a while, you just stop being fucking triggered. And you'll realize, too, things start getting lighter. There's no longer that need to escape. Again, that desperation side of things just starts slowly moving away. And because of that, I mean, as we discussed in the previous videos here, you'll finally be acting authentically. You'll finally be proactive in your life, and you won't be, again, moving in the direction wherever those triggers and like past traumas are.
So your compass isn't pulling you towards things to trigger you more because you've resolved it.
Yeah. And I mean, shit just becomes fucking effortless and just fucking permanent. Like
what to you is like say someone's trying to get jacked and their outcome is a six pack and certain with the shoulders and arms. Like what to you is the, I don't know if I say the top of the mountain because it actually goes on forever. But what would you, because you can keep evolving in paradigms until the day you die and beyond. But the thing is, maybe, but where is what would be an example of a great direction to go into, like a pretty picture that, like say for example in say Success with Women, you see a guy who has the ability to open people, talk to them, create attraction, get them to want to be intimate, get them to want to hang out and have the ability to have freedom and choice.
Yeah.
What would be an example with this?
Yeah, well with this it's like, it all starts with like your inner experience. Like it's a program that starts with the source of everything. So you fix your inner experience. It's like that deep work where you get that 10 out of 10 baseline. And the first thing you realize is instead of being down here and all of your actions coping with this, like either compensating, trying to numb it, trying to distract yourself, you'll have this solid baseline that'll then allow you to move forward, to propel yourself and your results further instead of, again, always focusing on the past, like focusing on this shit, focusing on the past trauma.
And then attracting more of it.
Yeah, and then attracting more of it. You'll finally have this boost where it's like the brakes are off. You're driving this car with the fucking brakes on, the brakes are off.
Well, that's what's so sad when you see people who are kind of venting or in victimhood, is that you'll see them doing it now, and then 3 years later, it's just the next time that they've been victimized. And then 3 years later, it's the next time they've been victimized. And you wish for them to get out of it.
Yeah, it'll stay with you no matter what. And
you see that as you get older too. When you're younger, you haven't seen that yet, so you're like, wow, what happened to them? But then as you get older, you're like, oh, it keeps happening. And then you see the pattern of it. And that's even what motivated me to look at Transformation Mastery, was as I'm getting older and I'm going, what's going to fix this? And look at the patterns you see with your friends and your family and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, you see it in everyone, and that's what motivated me to like create this. Like for everyone that I saw, and for myself, you know, it's like we're all seeking, as you said, like this peace. You know, we're all seeking at a core to resonate with peace, and then to let inspiration kick in and take action coming from that place there. But that peace we're all seeking, and no one's fucking finding it. And I mean, for me, I went to the most extreme lengths looking for this. Like, I mean, very similar to you. It's like, okay, get the good grades, so on and so forth. Didn't work. Maybe the women thing will work. Boom, get that, didn't work. The travel, the money, et cetera, like didn't work. And
it's cool, but it's transitory.
Yeah.
It's like you're having sex. It works. While you're doing it, and then you're back.
yeah, you know, you need that foundation for all of that to click. You know, for you have
To shift from coping to thriving, to shift from where you're having sex
Exactly.
from a state of joy to thrive, rather than as a way of coping
if you're
with
coping
your
in-
day-to-day challenges.
Yeah, if
as we hear a garbage bag moving in the wind out here. I don't know how misty this video is. We're in the mist out here in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah, it's like if you're coping, it doesn't matter what you get, you're still coping. Thrive, and then of course that shit, you'll get it as a byproduct of thriving. You'll finally enjoy it, and it will be fulfilling. So you'll have that peace. You'll finally live authentically, and this is a reason a lot of people are just unhappy, even with, you know, it's like, I must need a purpose to be happy. Their purpose is always in reaction to something, so it's not genuine. So that's another reason people are not happy, is they're never acting out of pure inspiration. It's always in reaction to something they're running away from. And that keeps, of course, propelling that. So here you'll finally know what your purpose is. You'll finally know where you want to go, what type of life you want to authentically live. And bringing it back to your story here, I mean, you went through like, you were like one of those people at the bottom that just shouldn't have gone out. You know?
That's right.
Like you just should have stayed there, and that's where most people unfortunately stay. They're just stuck there, and you know, you can look at them like, what are they doing? But there's just no opportunity. There's no one that's giving them any kind of direction, and due to the fact that they're so caught in that paradigm and just reinforcing it, they aren't even open to getting anything.
Yeah, I'm like a worse version of Britney Spears. Like, you take
Yeah.
the trailer park out of the girl, can't take the girl out of the trailer park. That was me. It was just like, you pulled me out and put me in a better situation, which was just like sheer forcing it
Yeah.
to claw to that point. And then my mind's not ready to accept that new software. My brain's, you know, like the Matrix software in my head is just not there.
Well, that's what's crazy. Is like you were down there, you miraculously find a way to crawl out of it, and that's like the first step that everyone goes through, where you know it's like optimizing a paradigm built on scarcity. It's like you're still running away from something, you're optimizing it, but as you said, it's like it hasn't clicked yet. And this is the step who, you know, if you're watching this, say you're someone who just like hustles and kills it, but you realize you're not enjoying it. And it's like this compulsive, obsessive type of hustle. In self-help, it's the same thing you find out about like presence. Like, I must always be present. I must always be meditating. I must always be conscious, like full on obsessive. And like, if you miss one little thing, you just fucking hate yourself. You know, it's like, it's this constant effort, paranoia. And that's the final step, where it's optimize that paradigm until you have enough courage and the willingness to drop it. And only then will you start at this baseline of abundance of that 10 out of 10 and then kill it from there. And that's, I mean, what we both realized, like, you know, 2 years ago, going through the media scandal and you at the breakup at the same time. It's like, that's when we finally clicked. It's like we've optimized so much to the point where it's like we were at the top of that paradigm and we finally just dropped it. And it's crazy because, I mean, for me, dropping it, it's like I had to lose everything to drop it. And reading more about that, it's like most people are so invested in that paradigm that they would rather just get sucked down and like literally die, you know, than actually drop the paradigm. And dropping that is like, whoa, it gives you that glimpse of the other side. And that's, I mean, what ultimately was the birth of Transformation Mastery, is like, okay, how do we get everyone to the other side? Like, how can we create this new movement where it's not just about optimize scarcity, it's how about dropping scarcity and then just fucking killing it from abundance?
You know, for me, my maxing out of that paradigm was, I'm working like morning till night every day. And definitely there's, you know, there's ups and downs. There's great moments, amazing moments. And just getting those is great. But I think for me, it's like coming from that background where I didn't have a family, so much of the way that I even built RSD was to create a family for myself. And even having my girlfriend, she was my family. So when you saw me traumatized in that breakup video, that's not just me losing a girl, that's me losing my family. And I've seen guys go through breakups like since this to where they're so brutalized. They're fucking brutalized to the point that they're walking around, walking wounded. And for me, that was the loss of family. And a lot of letting that go was going back into myself and saying, like, even like giving yourself, like some of the things that you work on is like giving yourself that love to that little kid who maybe your parents, as super hard as they tried, it may have not connected with you as unconditional love from your parents. Because a lot of guys, you know, say you don't get unconditional love from your parents, and then now you're looking for a girl to fill that, and then you're running around like I built a business for you, I took you around, I showed you different things, and then that girl, bang, you know, and it's like, and it builds and it builds and it builds, and it pulls you in, and it pulls you in just when you feel like you have that family,
Bang.
bang,
Yeah.
and now, well, guess what? Time to go to work, and when it hits you, it's like the worst time. Like it's just, it hits, like for you, it's like up and up and up. Let's say your brand, bang, and that's where it's never when you want it to be, right? And that's why you see some guys, like, they take breakups easily, but for other guys, they're just fucking brutalized. You could see me in that video I did with you, where I'm just annihilated, and you're trying to like be like, well, you know, right? And that's, you know, a couple years ago. It's cool to see how far it's gone since then.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah. I mean, one thing I'd just add on that too is, you know, no matter who you are too, like, due to the way that you're raised, like, you never think that you were loved unconditionally. You know, even though, say, you had great parents that are like, you know, they fully did love you, just based on the fact that how we're raised, again, it's like you're rewarded when you meet certain conditions or requirements, and then you're punished and shamed when you don't. It immediately conditions you to keep chasing these conditions to be good. And that, of course, will, you know, keep going into your adult life. And that's one of the reasons, if not the biggest one, we just keep on chasing, say, validation, so on and so forth. It's finally trying to be good, finally trying to receive that unconditional love. And this is the type of program that will teach you how to start with that. Because if you don't start with that, you'll never find it, because it can't depend on anything.
Well, especially too in guys looking for success with women, where if you're in a state of self-love, you walk up to a girl and they're just like, I love you. And you'll see a lot of that, versus when you're in a state of lack and trying to find it. And then you see guys, say, going out to a nightclub and just getting fucking brutalized with that lack of approval, lack of control, and just massaging that trauma and just releasing cortisol. Just, you know, and then of course, then the next answer is like, well, don't go out at all. Never have sex again. It's just gonna hurt you. When in reality,
all in reaction to that,
And in actually going out and experiencing that trauma is that great opportunity to let go of it.
Yeah. No, it's wherever you're triggered, that's the sign. Like, even like approach anxiety is linked to previous trauma. You know, it's like wherever you're like triggered is whenever you're reacting in a very disproportionate way. Like, logically, being afraid to go up and talk to, say, a girl, like, yeah, it's scary, but it shouldn't be that scary. And that's because you were most likely, and this happens for tons of guys, shamed in the past for liking a girl. As soon as you like a girl, everyone fucking mocks you. You're like, oh, can never like a girl again. And that's why even in the beginning of the whole Success with Women movement, everyone was trying to find ways to game a girl without the girl knowing that they liked them, you know? So that's like a great opportunity too, to dive into something that you suppressed, to dive into that trauma and release it. And I mean, yeah, as soon as you do, like, your life changes fucking fast. Like, for me, it's like it changed extremely fast. And it's not the external things. It's your experience of those external things. It's not the world around you. It's your experience of the world around you. You can still work hard, but suddenly that desperation, that need to work hard is gone. And it just feels
the craving.
It feels light. It feels effortless. Although you're putting in a lot of effort, it doesn't feel that way. Although, like us, for example, going up and saying hi to a girl, you still get that approach anxiety. You don't experience that approach anxiety the same way. It no longer triggers you at all. So your experience of things is a lot lighter, and those success barriers, that self-sabotage is gone. And for me, that's the biggest one. It's finally you can go for what you want, and you stop getting in your own fucking way. You know, it's like you're your own worst enemy for everything. Like, be it success, you stop like sabotaging. Like, for me now, it's like being modest. I'm on a fucking run. Like, I'm going fucking strong, and this is the strongest I've gone probably ever, and it doesn't feel that way. It's just like, in terms of getting back in shape, no more self-sabotage. I don't fall off the wagon. I don't need to keep myself in check, you know? Because that's, for example, like, say you're trying to get in shape. By default, if you have this stuff still inside of you that's running you, you're like, oh man, I really crave, say, the comfort food. But I want to be healthy, so I'm going to force myself to not eat the comfort food and eat healthy. But just that, you're forcing yourself, you're going against yourself. In reality, it's asking yourself, if you get to the cause, why are you inspired to eat the comfort food at first? Why are you not genuinely inspired to just eat healthy? Why do you need to make yourself eat healthy?
Why do you resonate or vibrate with the crap?
Yeah, release this, and guess what? You will not resonate with it anymore. You will stop craving it, and you will actually start craving the healthy food. You won't have to make yourself eat healthy. It will just happen as a byproduct of that.
It's like your compass, like the person who's looking for that great partner, their compass resonates with a non-chaotic partner. Their compass resonates with the healthier food. I know in my case, after I got brutalized from breakup and all the business challenges that we had, I never or very rarely ate processed foods. I ate really high nutrient density foods, but I used too high of calories or carbs to stuff it, and it makes for some great pickup videos, seeing me chubby, crushing it in the game. That's been amazing, but I did use that to stuff it down, because it just, you get to the point where you're just so spent, you're just like, I gotta get a fucking meal, some fucking pussy here, right? Like, you're just like...
Food was a big one for me too. Like, that's why even like after, say, the media scandal, it's like I got extremely fat, and then I started working on this, and I just slowly started like...
Those were great videos too, with you really fat.
I know. I mean, but after that, I just slowly stopped resonating with that. The same with relationships. You slowly stop resonating with the drama. You slowly stop resonating with you being down here. You slowly have to, you slowly stop having to keep yourself in check. You slowly have to stop having to make yourself have your own best interests at heart. And it just happens by default. Your default is now success. Your default is now being healthy. Your default is now what will benefit me. Your default is now, I'm energized, I'm ready to go. I no longer have to keep myself together. I no longer have to micromanage everything. I know I'm with me, I'm staying with me, I'm not abandoning me, I'm not hating me, and I'm authentically going for what I want, and I'm inspired to go for what I want versus I need to make myself go for what I want. And this will, of course, affect all areas of your life, like health, relationships, no more drama. You resonate with those people who are at your level. You're no longer attracting all of these things you don't want. By also bringing awareness into what it is you're running away from in your subconscious, you see where, say, those core beliefs from your childhood are fucking you up right now. Like, even, say, money. Say you're raised where...
Yeah, financial scarcity is crazy.
I mean, it's not because you don't even, want... everyone wants to make money, but, why can you not make money? It's the shit that's running you. Say you're raised in a household where just your sense of deservingness is you deserve this much. More than that, no. That's in you, and it runs you. Or say you're raised and you're taught that a lot of money is, people who make a lot of money, they're bad, they're corrupt, it's not good. You're like, oh, making more than this is unacceptable. So no matter how much you try, you'll make some, but when you reach this point, anything above that, you'll never achieve. You'll keep sabotaging, it'll just never move past that until you release your resistance to making more. The same with relationships. I think I deserve a really a partner who's put together. If your definition of what you deserve is down here, you'll get that. Anything above that, you can use a lot of effort and willpower, but you'll have to keep that effort and willpower to maintain it, and eventually it'll pop.
And where I've seen that is with a partner. You have a girl who's at peace, who's chill, who's not a drama queen, who's not a crazy stripper, but you're bored of her. You feel nothing. You can't even resonate with it or feel anything, because the piece of that is subtle. Okay, and here's the key. It's a subtle piece that you would have with that person, and you have to be present to that piece to even let it land. But when the energy is really heavy, you can't even detect the piece, and you just are like, oh, I don't have chemistry. Or with the food, when you're in trauma, you can't even taste the food unless it's very heavy. So when you're at peace and in presence, you can eat that carrot or kale or broccoli, and it feels good. Or, say with business, say you partner up with people in business, and that person's 85% good and maybe 15% really bad stuff, but your brain just keeps going back to that 15% bad stuff, which is true, but then it overemphasizes with zero regard for any of the good stuff, and then you overemphasize to the point that you're like, fuck that, and then you leave it, and then you're like, maybe it was better than I thought. Like Kobe did that with Shaq, where Kobe was just mad at Shaq, mad at Shaq, mad at Shaq, mad at Shaq, and you could actually see the low vibration energy just steeped that they had at each other, and then they won 3 championships in a row, then they completely melted down. They went in so much low vibration that Kobe was in court for crazy shit, Shaq left, and then years later when Kobe played with Dwight, him and Shaq resolved it, and he was just like, dude, you're fucking awesome. We should have won 7 championships together. What was I doing? But it took them time to go through that, because all Kobe could think about was, Shaq didn't quite train hard enough. And it's just the mind mind plays tricks on you. This experience is so subjective, and just seeing how much my mind has played tricks on me, and having to study the greats and study good people and slowly unwire that to make better decisions for myself, to be the guy who is going to make decisions that work and not make decisions that self-sabotage, and watching it in others and just going, wow, and then putting back the mirror on myself and going, where's my thing of that? It's not just others, man. If they're doing it and they're human and they're great people that I love, I'm doing it too. And where's mine?
Yeah, we all are. It's like we're all just trapped. Like we're all in this fucking jail. Like it's crazy. It's like, this is how much you deserve. This is what you can get. This is what'll happen. It's like we think we have free will, but we don't. It's like you have conscious free will. Like you can clap your hands, but when it comes to the micro, you have free will. When it comes to the macro, you don't. That's why people just like keep being pulled back. They have no actual control over their lives. They are being run by this trauma. They are being run by scarcity. They are being run by just this default of feeling like shit.
To me, that's what in the Bible, regardless of what you think of that, because I wouldn't even know what I think of that, but when Jesus said, forgive them, they do not know what they do, it's like the person is unconscious and that trauma energy has taken over their mind. And one of the most beautiful parts of going into a space of high vibration is now that high vibrational energy is running you, and you want to share, and you're energized by sharing, or energized by doing the right things, or you go to a nightclub and you just want to have fun with everybody there and share with everybody, because that's running you instead of being run unconsciously. And that's why, to me, it's so important to forgive everybody, because they don't know what they're doing. And even weirder, but like, I don't even know what I believe on this, and I never will know. And I think anybody that claims to know this is just really over claiming stuff. But there's some people have this theory that like we're all like spirits, and we talk to each other, like everybody in our lives. We talk to each other before we're born, and we say, we're going to come into each other's life. Like, I'm going to come in your life to fuck with you or to traumatize you. And maybe you're going to do that to me, to raise stuff so that we can heal. We're going to play this role with each other so that we can have this life experience. And we're not going to remember it when we come to Earth. And we're going to go through pain, and we're going to get lessons from it, And that's why, to me, people who I've hurt, I'm sorry. And I hope that maybe you could learn something from it. And the people who hurt me, I forgive them, because they were here to give me life experience and to help me to grow, evolve, change, have realizations. And whether that theory is true or not, I think that it's important to at least, I don't know, maybe it's just a big fat story, but it's important to at least think about it, because we're here to share that journey together. And that's why everybody that I've ever had those experiences with, to me, is family, and I love them so much. They're part of my life story. And I can even remember being on like Nepali coast at times and hiking along like the sides of cliffs, right? And it can get really scary. And weirdly, but kind of like when you face death and you see that like maybe like I'll be hiking along Nepali and like you could fall off and fall in the ocean. We do this weird thing a lot of time in summer in Hawaii, and the island of Kauai. You could Google Nepali coast, is stunning. And in that moment, when I thought, maybe like one little step here and I could be dead because you'd fall off the cliff, I think, God, I love everybody so much. Even the people, like maybe, you knew like Jenny Lee, in the spirit world, and she said, I'm coming here, to show you where you're a fucking idiot, and things like that. And basically, you realize that you love those people as a part of your life story. And that's why, to me, when I see the trauma that all humans we put on each other, I want to heal that. I just want to love people and heal that, because I'm 37, man, and I'm getting up there, and I don't have any time to be mad, and to me, I want whatever small little chink in the armor that I can do to this physical world while I'm here. I want it to be a labor of love and positivity, and to raise the vibration. And, and that's why we teach even, the Success of Women stuff, to help guys to heal those wounds and to become strong. And that's why this has been so powerful in you teaching Transformation Mastery, because in continuing that work of healing and bringing people happiness. But then again, what I love so much about your focus on it, why I like learning it from you specifically, and from different past mentors that we've learned from, is because we take still a more like go for it, like masculine testosterone thing on it. Because as cute as it is to learn this stuff from, say, someone who's like healing, like that, it's like, dude, I still got testosterone here. I kind of want to get laid. So, it's like, I still want to go crush it and do fun stuff. I don't just want to be like, heal today. Because to me too, that can often become untethered. And it gets to the point where you're so heady. I still want to keep it's like be in the clouds, but still elbows in the mud. I want it like, yes, the goal is to heal, move forward, to become present, to grow. Some people would say enlightenment, whatever that would be, but it's also, we're here in the physical world. And so one foot's in the physical, one foot's in essence. And I love to see growth in all areas. And so much, I feel so much that in growing in your capabilities, in challenging yourself to improve, to be more competent, to have higher integrity, to take feedback better, to work with people better, to be more synergistic, to me, that forces you to bring presence into that. So to me, the outer feeds the inner. So many people, it's just like work, 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 or enlightenment, you know, and to me, they feed each other. That's why we're here. So that's why some guys will say to me, wow, your stuff's so highbrow, but you teach a guy how to approach a girl or how to make money, right? Or you see guys like, they see us just, crushing it in the field with girls or, building a business or something like that. And then they're like, what's all this other shit like happy? Aren't you happy when you just get laid? And that's why I like both and how they feed on each other synergistically.
100%.
And that's why I like learning that from guys like yourself and our other mentors, because there's more of a masculine focus on it. Because a lot of time the healing can be very feminine. But I like your bang, okay, so we've got that baseline. Things are good. Where are we going now? And then we're really going to do it.
It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Most people, they have this shitty baseline and they're resonating with that shitty baseline, attracting more of that shitty baseline. Now you can use a lot of willpower and force yourself to start attracting stuff that you should not be attracting. However, guess what? Move up here and you'll just start naturally attracting that and even fucking more without all that needed extra willpower and efforts, and you'll actually resonate with it and enjoy it. But it's true. It's like anyone who says it's all about the external, fuck them. It's just half of the puzzle. Anyone who says it's all about the internal, it's not about the external, go in the mountains, fuck that person. Okay, that's the other. It's like
their intentions are good, but the path they're going down is either going to be too dense or too light. It's either too heady and syrupy and fluffy and like that, or it's too like this. And you see it where the person's either untethered, where they're like that, or you see them getting lines on their head and bags under their eyes, and the light goes out, versus too much of a floaty, untethered kind of thing. To me, the ideal guy learning, he's a man of purpose, and he's a man who brings light, but he's a man who brings results. Yeah. It's a woman who brings a healing energy, femininity, probably attracts great guys in the process, but she's also a woman who, gets shit done in her purpose. That's what I like about it.
It's imagine the two had a baby. That's transformation mastery.
Yeah, it's results oriented, but it's also about enjoying life. It's the art. It's the art of accomplishment, or it's the science of accomplishment and the art of appreciation. It's the mix of the two.
Exactly.
So you have it all in a way. It's like the third way.
Yeah, it's get out of this binary way of viewing it, where it's is it black and white? It's no. When you get in the middle, that's where you find the gold, and that's how I structure this program too. It's I wanted it to resonate with you no matter who you are. So it's if you're someone who's even more on the untethered side, I'll connect with that, but I'll bring you to the middle. If you're someone who's on the whole hustle, material, so on and so forth, I'll connect with that. I keep this extremely practical. It doesn't get woo talking about aliens and 12th dimensions and stuff like that at all. But I'll also move you to the middle so you get the fucking gold and start feeling good and just killing it. And you just keep fueling that. And life gets good.
That's why I like the results-oriented aspect about it. It still has to be measurable in results.
100%.
And very measurable. And the results have to be big. And it's about winning big. And if you made it through this video, thank you. This video was made for you. This video was made to change things for you. And we put out a lot of long content frequently, and this is probably the longest video that RC's ever put out. We put out some long ones too. And many long ones are the most popular. Obviously, there's a huge, drop-off rate from the start of people passively interested. And if you made it through this, congratulations. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for coming on the adventure. We made this for people who really are into it. It wasn't, so not a video made, we do little 1-minute videos or inspirational videos. We put out those too, and that's for people kind of into it. This is for you if you're really into it. I'm very excited to see you as a part of the tribe in Transformation Mastery. I'm on this journey with you. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thanks for sharing that too, by the way, man.
Thanks.
This is Julien, and welcome to Transformation Mastery.
It was fucking amazing.
This was huge for me. This was so important.
This gave me by far the greatest epiphanies I've ever had.
And we got real deep, and I found some issues within myself.
One of the best things I've seen so far in my life.
What you're about to experience going through this program is what completely changed my life on every single level. Okay, be it health, wealth, relationships, higher purpose, you name it. This is the stuff that finally produced that true, long-lasting personal transformation we're all after. Okay, now, before we dive into what you can expect when you start your transformation and how this program works, because it is a completely new approach here with new methods designed to produce results for you fast, I want to share with you a little bit of the backstory of how Transformation Mastery came into existence. So I first got into this whole personal development, self-help world back in 2006 when I randomly found out about success with women and the fact that you can work on yourself and transform who you are into someone who is more confident, fun, attractive, playful, so on and so forth. Because up until that point, and I don't know if you know this about me, I was stuck. Okay, I was completely stuck. I was at the bottom. I was someone who was anxious 24/7, who was stressed out 24/7, miserable 24/7, paranoid. I couldn't put myself out there. I couldn't speak up. I wouldn't jump at opportunities. I was just living a very miserable existence. I was depressed. I was overwhelmed. I was drained. I had no energy, and it was straight up hell. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I had to rate my experience of myself, it was a good 3 out of 10. And it's been like that as far as I can remember. You know, ever since I was a kid, like my earliest memories, it was like that. Like that was me, and I had no hope. You know, I kind of came to terms with, hey, I guess this is just how things are. And I had my excuses. Well, you know, I grew up in Switzerland. Maybe if I lived in America, things would be different. Maybe if I had cooler friends, maybe if I was better looking, maybe if I, you know, this thing happened to me, if that person didn't screw me over, so on and so forth. And I just lived a hell of a life. And finding out about this gave me that hope. I was like, whoa, I can actually have control over this. I don't have to stay a victim. I can step it up and change who I am. I don't have to accept this shitty reality, this shitty state of being. And I did. Okay, I became obsessed with transforming who I am. And I optimized everything. I optimized my personality. I became more confident. I worked on becoming more funny, more playful, more extroverted, because I'm naturally introverted. It's like this would be the scariest thing ever for me back in the day. I optimized my life situation. You know, I was like, okay, well, I need relationships with friends, girls, okay? I need to travel. I need to make money. I need to like really live a crazy life filled with these rich experiences. Let's optimize all of that. And I did. And I went all out. And in 2010, I started traveling the world and teaching literally tens of thousands of people, just like you and me, face to face, how to get unstuck as well, how to transform. And I went all out. You know, I perfected my teachings and I would see every type of person. Okay, at this point, I've done 5 to 6 world tours, and my schedule is every single week. I'm traveling to a new city or country every single fucking week, and I'm seeing new people with new issues. I'm seeing the different subtleties. I'm seeing the setbacks. I'm seeing what's going on, and I would perfect my teachings, perfect how to snap them out of it, how to help them not just settle for that shitty state of being, but how to optimize it. Now, one thing that I noticed over the years, and this really troubled me, and I'd see it in my clients, but also in myself, is that although we would transform ourselves, transform our lives, and achieve success, it always felt like we were fighting against something to get there, and any success that we would get, it would require a lot of effort to maintain. You know, it just felt like something kept pulling us back, like we weren't meant to get the success, like the system was rigged against us. And let me ask you this, right now, if you've optimized different things in your life, does it feel like that? Does it feel like you're fighting against something? Like the system is somehow just rigged against you. And you can try to find a way there. You can really perfect the techniques, perfect the willpower, and hustle your way there, but there's still that force field just kind of pulling you back to ground zero, pulling you right back into misery. And that's what I felt. And not just that, if you want to go really deep here, but underneath all of that success, all of the things I'd optimized, my personality, my life, I still felt the same. And this is how crazy this gets. And I'm sure you can relate right now, okay, where you might have optimized a lot in your life. You might have worked on yourself, your personality. You might have worked on your financial success, gotten a new job, gotten a promotion, gone healthy, improved yourself, read a lot of books, so on and so forth. Just really optimize everything, trying to live a really rich, fulfilling life. However, underneath all that surface work, all that surface transformation, did anything really change? Or is it still that same old you? And this is something that would freak me the fuck out, where I'd have all this success and I'd fight to maintain it, a lot of effort, and then every once in a while I'd have a glimpse of that old me. If I just sat with myself and I did nothing and just brought that awareness into my body, it was still the same old me. It was still that 3 out of 10 underneath it all. And it would freak me out to the point where I just kind of block it off, like, oh, just don't pay attention to that. Because what that would mean is that everything that I had done, everything that I'd worked on and optimized was simply surface level work. It was just this big, endless chase of shit that just didn't do anything. It's mental masturbation if you think about it. You're just like, I'm doing all the success, chasing this, yet nothing is changing deep down inside. It's not true transformation. And this is what I realized in 2014 when I went through the most traumatic yet life-changing experience, which was the media scandal that I talk about a lot, where I pushed my marketing so far and eventually things popped, and guess what? I did get pulled back.
I see some comments from various people here about a fella called Julien Blanc.
Julien Blanc. Julien Blanc.
Julien Blanc.
Julien Blanc. Julien
You all know who Julien Blanc
Yes.
And although that was the worst experience of my life, it was also from this experience of just losing everything, because I lost everything, that as cliche as it sounds, I gained everything. Okay, because it forced me to stop distracting myself and just focusing on all this surface stuff, on all the external, and chasing more and more and more. And it forced me to let go of all that, and even let go of the stuff that's keeping me at that 3 out of 10, and finally snap out and achieve that 10 out of 10. So let me explain, okay? This is how it works. Most people are stuck at the bottom, okay? They're stuck in a very shitty, miserable state of being. And that used to be me. You find out about personal development and you start optimizing yourself, you start optimizing your life. However, you're still optimizing, trying to escape that shitty experience. Okay, so follow me here. At the bottom, everyone's experiences scarcity, they're coping, it's a bad state of being. They try to optimize it by running away from that. But by running away from it, they're keeping it alive. Because any movement where you're running away from something is the continuation of that thing. By you trying to be more confident, you're keeping the fact that you're not confident to begin with alive. By you trying to be happy, you're keeping the fact that you're not happy alive. By me, for example, trying to improve my 3 out of 10 baseline, I'm keeping that 3 out of 10 baseline alive. So it's literally like that fucking movie, The Matrix, where you can either be in the Matrix and just suck. You're at the bottom, there's your life, that's you, suck it. Or you can try to improve your life, but you're still in the fucking Matrix. And that's why no one achieves true, deep, permanent transformation. Because it's just this surface work in the Matrix paradigm. And what I got out of going through that media scandal is that it snapped me out of the Matrix. I had to literally drop everything and have this glimpse of another reality, another state of being, another paradigm, not based on scarcity, but based on abundance. And that is the most life-changing moment ever. And this is what inspired Transformation Mastery. This is what got me obsessed ever since the end of 2014 up until now to create a program for you to experience that without the downside of going through a media scandal, so you as well can snap out of the Matrix.
Loose! Let loose, hands up, loose. Let's loose the fuck up. Woo! Everyone, loosen the fuck up, all out. Hey! Whatever you're smart to do.
This is about results. If you've been following my journey, what I've been teaching, I've always been about results. And this is the next level for you to fucking kill it and get more results. Because if you're coping, and follow me here, if let's just say 1 to 10, you're a 3 out of 10. Instead of coming from a solid platform of 10 out of 10 and then thriving and killing it in life, you're coping with this 3 out of 10. Everything you're doing is trying to compensate or escape it. A lot of energy, a lot of paranoia, a lot of like waste is just going into this shitty state of just trying to survive with it. And not only that, but guess what? You're addicted to this state. And this is what kept pulling me back and what kept pulling all of my clients back. So when you change this, okay, to 10 out of 10, that's your platform. You're no longer in scarcity, you're in abundance. You can thrive and just kill it even more. And you cannot imagine the possibilities. As soon as I started incorporating this into my teachings for the past 2 years, the results have been so fucking drastic and so effortless. It's like they've been driving with the brakes on and those brakes are finally off. And you're just free. I mean, imagine that. Just walking out of your house right now, walking out of the front door and just being free. Not defensive, not coping, not worrying, not trying to escape it, not trying to numb it, not trying to stuff it down, just feeling fucking awesome and ready to attack life. Just fucking imagine.
Loud as you can.
I just scream. Or what is it? Like, I scream as loud as I
Don't
can.
think, do.
Ah!
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 Even more. Ah! Now talk. Bring it. Just don't think, do.
I fucking play League of Legends.
Louder. Dude, that was it. I honestly couldn't have thought of a better example. It's like, oh, my passion, League of Legends. When I play Thunder, like that's what turns you on. Yes. And now it's like that aliveness. Like actually look at the crowd. That aliveness, the brightness in the pupils, the smile, the genuine smile. That's what you gotta connect with.
If you look at me, ever since the end of 2014, for the past 2 years, versus the first 8 years, 2006 to 2014, when I first got into this, those first 8 years, I went all out. I became obsessed with transformation, but it's all about results here. Okay, that's how you measure this. Look at me the past 2 years. The change in terms of real world, real life results, these past 2 years, trumped the first 8 by a long shot. Like you can't even fucking compare. Those first 8 years in terms of results, yeah, they're pretty fucking drastic, but now these last 2, they're a fucking joke. And this is what I want for you. I want you to get your fucking foot off that brake pedal, start fucking killing it, start enjoying your results, start resonating with success. You don't have to fight this uphill battle where you're being pulled back, and instead you start being pulled towards your goals, and you can finally feel fucking awesome and at peace inside. Okay, so it's starting with the deep work so you can then kill it with the surface work. Close your eyes and think back to one of those moments you put yourself out there and someone just really shamed you for what you were feeling or shamed you for what you were thinking. They told you it's not okay. That part of you was rejected. You felt maybe embarrassed, you felt upset, maybe self-hate kicked in because you shouldn't be feeling that. You're like, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling that? Why is that coming up? And just kind of replay the scenario and just replay like all those sensations. Like how did you feel? If you were anxious, if you were angry, just kind of what came up and what do you feel in your body right now? Just kind of replaying it. Did you feel hurt, betrayed, upset, embarrassed, stupid, hating yourself, beating yourself up? Just tune into it and just let it come up. So what's in Transformation Mastery and how does this all work? And the first thing I want to stress here is that it is a very experiential approach. Okay, this isn't a program where you go through it and you memorize every little bit of content, every little idea, trying to transform that way there. Instead, you go through this program and you let the content change what's inside. And you will notice the deeper you go into this program, the more little subtleties you're gonna start experiencing inside. And I've broken down Transformation Mastery into 3 main parts. There's part 1, which is awareness, part 2, which is proof, and part 3, which is permanence. And in part 1, this is where we really focus on snapping you out of this socially conditioned, scarcity-based reality, We're going to examine different paradigms. We're going to examine and question assumptions you've never questioned before and assumptions you didn't even know you were making. We're going to examine cause and effect. And here, I really want to reprogram your brain, reprogram your understanding of yourself and the world. And just by this first section, and this is how crazy it gets, you're gonna have epiphany after epiphany just exploding in your head, and the changes will already start happening. And this is content and ideas you've never heard before. They can be hard to swallow, but you gotta choose here. Do you wanna stay in this shitty reality? Is it the blue pill or the fucking red pill? Which one are you gonna take? Take it, swallow it, and then let's fucking do this. That's the first section. The second section is proof. And this is where I get you to experience everything that we talked about. You experience it firsthand through a guided release. And this is something that's completely new. I've never released anything like it before, where you're going to sit down and it's a guided form of meditation that will get you to snap out of this reality, get you to snap out of the matrix. That's how crazy this gets. And just by this guided release, you will have that proof inside of you. You will finally have that glimpse, just like me, going through a worldwide media scandal, but you will have it from the comfort of your own home. And the third section is permanence, and that's where we go deep into your subconscious, which is another topic most people don't tackle. And this is where a lot of these assumptions and a lot of the things that are keeping this scarcity-based reality, that are keeping you at this shitty default state, that's keeping that alive, are buried in there, and you need to let go of those and release them. That's how you make this permanent. So awareness, you get what's happening. Proof, you have that glimpse. Permanence, we dive into your subconscious, we dive into your childhood, different traumas, different recurring patterns in your life. We break those patterns so you're no longer a prisoner, you're no longer living in reaction, and we completely free you and make this new reality, this new paradigm permanent. And I didn't just stop here. I've also added 2 extra guided releases where there's a morning release and an evening release. And these are releases that I personally listen to every single day. It's the first thing I do when I wake up. I put on the headphones, I listen to this release. I go to bed, I put the headphones on, I listen to this release. Just doing that, just the 2 guided releases, your life will drastically change. And the 5th section here is transformational in-field footage.
I was usually in school not remembering what to say, getting bad grades or criticism, or in groups, social groups, gatherings, just people not liking me, I think.
So as you can see here, there's a lot more intense sensations that are surfacing. You know, she's getting a lot more emotional, and that's because we're going deeper and deeper into the fear. And this is where it gets really crazy, because what you're going to see in this section is all of these ideas and concepts illustrated with real life examples, with people just like you and me in action, and you're going to see me break it all down. So it'll give you a lot more context and help you apply it to yourself. Where if, for example, we talk about resistance, you can hear me break down resistance, and I will say, it's going to show up in this way here, in this way here, in this way here, in this way here. You're going to resist snapping out of the matrix. And you can understand it, and you'll know how to go through it, but if you see someone else experience that resistance, and you see me break it down and show you how it pops up and how subtle it is, and how I help that person still blast through and finally let go and snap out of it, now you know what to fucking do. Now you have no excuse. And not only that, but now you're inspired because you feel what they're feeling in these videos. This is where it gets really tough. It's like that thing you keep running away from, that's the shit you gotta dive into.
He just said this, he didn't want anything serious, and he was probably just feeling like pushed into a corner and stressed out and under pressure.
Mm-hmm. And how did you feel after he left and after he said that?
Not worthy of being in a relationship, of getting love, or having people tell you that you're great or that you're worth of receiving love.
So going deeper here, it's not feeling worthy of being loved. I fear not pleasing him. You can stay there and focus on that, but that's still surface. Go deeper. I fear losing him. I fear not being worthy of being loved. And I've also added a private Facebook group where you can network with other people going through this process, share your experiences, and really accelerate your transformation. Now, if you're really serious about transforming here, I've also created the Transformation series. And this is a 6-month curriculum where every month we're going to tackle a theme. And we're going to start with apathy and self-hate. And we're going to move up all the way to self-love and self-acceptance. It goes apathy, self-hate, month 1. Guilt, self-sabotage, month 2. Fear and self-trust, month 3. Purpose and procrastination, month 4. Approval and validation, month 5. And self-love and self-acceptance, month 6. And with each month, you're going to get 1 content video, 1 transformational in-field video, 1 Q&A webinar where you can ask me any questions based on the theme of that month. And at the end of that webinar, you're also going to get a guided release done live based on your questions and based on the theme. So every month, we're going to have this guided release based on the theme. For example, fear, self-trust, self-love, self-hate, purpose, procrastination. Those are huge. How to stop procrastinating. You'll have the content, you'll have the in-field footage, the Q&A webinar, and the live release. This is the Transformation series. This is if you're really serious about this. And I've also created the exclusive book club series where for 3 months, every month, we're going to tackle 3 of the most impactful books I've ever read. These are the top 3 books that just really hit me at a deep level. And we're going to have a webinar about the book where I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and how it impacted me and how it even impacted Transformation Mastery. And then we're going to go back and forth and I'm going to answer your questions on those books. So this is Transformation Mastery. This is how it all works. And this is what will completely change your life, just like it did for me at every single level. Okay. And again, this is my masterpiece. This is it. Like this is, not to get too morbid, but if I died right now, this would be the thing I'd leave behind. This is my mark on the world. This is it. So if you resonate with this, if you want to transform, if you want to snap out of the matrix, if you're just sick of having that shitty experience of yourself underneath it all, no matter what you get, no matter how much success you get, did anything change? For me, before that scandal, by the way, I had everything I thought would make me fulfilled, happy. I thought I had everything that would change that baseline. I was traveling, I had the girls, I had the fame, I had the money, everything. Yet, nothing changed, and it just freaked me out. This is what finally produced that. Change your baseline. Kill the self-sabotage. Stop being pulled back. Stop making things harder than they need be. Make things easier on yourself so you're fulfilled, you're happy, you're coming from a good place, and you can just fucking kill it. That's Transformation Mastery. If you want that, you want to snap out, you want to see something that, being straight honest here, 99% of people will never see. You want to see the other side, you want to see what's beyond the matrix, beyond scarcity, beyond this. Really ask yourself, is this really life? Is this all that life is? Because if so, what the fuck? That was a question I'd also ask myself. Even growing up, I'm like, is this life? I always felt something was a little bit wrong with me. I'm like, why do I feel so shit? Is this life? Is this why I'm here? And I'd look around and everyone else was just as miserable as me. If you go out in the street, when's the last time you saw someone who's just bright and just thriving and alive? There's that light in the fucking pupils. My dad is never. Never. Is that life? Is that what life should be? Is that the life you want for you? And if the answer is no, if enough's enough, scroll down, click the link, and I'll see you in Transformation Mastery. Join the tribe, join the movement, and let's wake up.